What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Operation Hunt, a series dedicated to the men and women serving in our armed forces and the veterans who have served, and some awesome hunting stories that they have to tell. Today we are joined with Jess Todd, a buddy that I've gotten a chance to get to know and meet down here in Central Texas, and man, does he have a lot going on outside of killing big bucks and turkeys. Man, he runs a Fort Hood Turkey Hunters page. He does a lot of cool things for vets and getting them into turkey hunting. He also is a big partner over at 1MO Outdoors. You guys have heard us talk about that. And the 1MO Archery Range, it stands for One Mission Outdoors, a veteran-owned and operated nonprofit archery range here in Central Texas that allows people in this Fort Hood hunting community a place that they can get outside, go sling some arrows, and man, they've done some really cool things there. So let's get into learning more about Jess Todd, his service, and of course hear an awesome hunting story from Jess Todd, retired U.S. Army.
So my name's Jesse Todd, and I am almost 45. I turned 45 this Monday, actually. I'm a Christmas baby. Yeah. Big 4-5 coming up Monday. No big plans. I'm actually, we got that big archery shoot Sunday, so that's going to soak up a lot of time. But, go catch dinner that night, something like that. But, yeah, I'm born in Austin. Raised in Georgetown, Texas, we lived in Round Rock till I was like 6, and then we moved in first grade all the way through, high school. I was in Georgetown, Texas. So born and raised Texan, and then 18, 19, you don't really know where you're going to go. I went to school for a little bit. I went to just north of Waco and at Texas State Technical. I went for graphic design and all of the images and things that I make. I give a little credit to that, but So I went to that for a little while, and it just wasn't for me. And I had this drive to serve my country, and in the background, I got a couple other things, but I have a long line of military in my family. I think it goes all the way back to American Revolution. That's how far it goes.
No kidding.
Yeah, that far.
You're a true patriot.
My grandfather, I haven't done it, but my grandfather was part of the Sons of the American Revolution. And all these people that heritage all the way back. And, he was real proud of that thing, that group, but I had a lot, I'm actually the only enlisted guy in my whole family. So my dad didn't serve. My uncle served in the Army, West Pointer. Grandfather was a West Pointer. And then my great grandfather was a West Pointer. So I was the only, I don't know. No one really pushed me that way. So I'm, a dirty enlisted guy, 19 years old. Went to Round Rock recruiting station and said, I want to jump out of airplanes and blow stuff up. And the guy, he's like, well, what's wrong with you? And I said, nothing's wrong with me, healthy as a horse. And so, they take you to the ASVAB and do all that stuff. And, everything was sort of streamlined after that. But yeah, that's sort of where I hit the Army. But before that, growing up, I'd always, I'm the oldest of 3. So got a younger brother and a younger sister. And, being the oldest, you sort of have to, I don't know, have a good imagination because there's not really anyone else to play with. So guess what Jesse did? I went outside and I played, and I grew a love for the outdoors, I guess, just being the oldest, and making up games outside and hide and seek and building forts, just like any other boy does. And here in Central Texas, where I lived in Georgetown near the airport, it was real wooded, real heavily wooded. So we used to go out there, and I used to steal my dad's lumber that he had laying around, and we used to tote it out to the woods, and we'd make forts and play Army and all this other stuff, So I think I grew up just having a passion for the outdoors. And got really for the Army too. So, I didn't really grow up hunting. My dad wasn't really a hunter. We did things, outdoors, camping and things. but like he never really was into hunting too much. He was a hard working guy. My mom was saying, this is like in the 80s, right? 80s, 90s. And my parents were just workaholics at that time.
Yeah.
So really, I didn't really get into hunting until much later in life. And I guess we can get to that here shortly. But
Well,
yeah,
let's talk real quick, if you don't mind. So, like,
yeah,
I'm really into this topic right now, actually, because you said you're
yeah,
the oldest of three, and you're all about like getting outside, making forts, whatever. So I'm the oldest of two. My brother is 3 years
mhm,
younger than I am, and I'm the same way. Like, I'm like, let's play outside, let's do this, let's do that. My brother, like, I remember growing up with him, and he's like, his recount of our childhood is almost, it's not a 180, but it's close, like of what
yeah,
I felt like we experienced, right? And like we went out and like I'm the same way. Like I was an outdoors kid, just made up my own stuff. We did all the own things and whatever. I don't know where that came from. You're triggering some stuff in me, like maybe it's a
yeah.
therapy session. I don't know, but like it's wild because like for me, I was just like, hey, let's go outside, let's go do something. And then he kind of grew up in a way of like, let's go play video games. But now I'm a dad, right? So like we have the almost 4 year old in the house. He's going to be 4 in February. We got a new one due on the way here in January 31st. So maybe February, maybe January, baby, not sure. But either way, this kid, like my oldest right now, he's all about everything dad's doing. So outside, shooting
Yeah,
guns. His favorite
yeah.
YouTube channel is like Iguana Solutions, like hunting iguanas and like Florida, like
That's cool.
all
Yeah,
this stuff, right? So he's an outdoors guy, but like the thing I notice most about him is his imagination, his ability to get outside, go make up stuff on his own, do his own thing. And it's kind of like I'm hearing it from you a little bit too. Like it sounds like that might just be a first child thing. So I don't know.
I think
This
so,
is
man. I
yeah,
think it
it's
is.
crazy. Like let's get outside, let's make up our own stuff, and let's be outside kids. And then you also said the thing that really got me was like you didn't really grow up in a hunting family. I didn't either. So I was kind of the first guy that was like, hey, hunting is very intriguing to me. I want to get out there, I want to do it, and I kind of got myself into it. And my dad started doing it more because I got into it actually, which was kind of a
Yeah,
weird deal. So anyway, it's just
that's
really
cool
interesting.
though.
Like the first, I wonder if there's something with the first kids and getting outside and like you got to make your own fun as a first kid. Like I don't
I think
know.
so. I think there is. I think there's a correlation definitely to those two things because the same, like my brother, he's 4 years younger than me, 4 or 5, and yeah, I you grow up playing with GI Joes and things like that, amongst yourself, and
Yeah, yeah,
and then you make friends that are the same age, and you don't want your little brother hanging out. You're like,
no,
go play guns with my buddies. So yeah, I mean, I think so, dude, for sure. Yeah,
that's interesting. You're the first kind of person I've had that's like, there's a lot of similarities there. I'm like, okay, there's something to this.
yeah.
We're gonna be the first trial study of
Big brothers rule,
firstborns.
man. I mean, I don't know what to
That's it. Right? That's all
say.
there is to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
My brother he liked to hang out, but we all went our separate ways, and being big bro, uh, and like going off and doing your own thing, they had a better relationship than me, I guess, and them because of the age gap. But you know, that's how we are. We're just soloists, I guess, and we
Yeah.
like that. We like that type of thing, and I guess hunting and stuff like that just sort of helps us feel like that. And I don't know. I don't know. What do you think?
There's something to it. There's absolutely something to it, man. There's like, because even like my wife, she's, I'd say, polar opposite of me in the fact that if she had it her way, and this isn't a knock, she would want to hang out 24/7 with me. Like we're best
Yeah.
friends, and I absolutely put her on a pedestal. She's my best friend. But well, but like I'm just fine hanging out by myself. Like, dude, if she gets now she's active duty, I'm civilian, so like she goes out and does a TDY, I'm like, check. this is awesome, dude. I got all this free time. Here's what I'm gonna do. I've got it scheduled in my head. I know what to, like all of it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But she's the
Yeah.
exact opposite. She's like, hey, so I think there's something to it, man. Like you learn to like, I don't know. You learn to operate, but you also appreciate the independence that's there. Like I kind of you thrive in your own space a little bit, but imagination is part of it and everything else. But I don't know, man. It's hunting. I've You're the first person I've talked to. I'm exploring this with you right now. Like
Yeah.
hunting, I think fits more with my like independent childhood like lifestyle than anything else. And I remember like what triggered me to get into hunting personally was my grandpa. Like we'd hang out at my grandparents' place all the time. My parents, whenever they needed to go do something on their own, we were at my grandparents' house for the weekend or a few days, whatever it was. But he always like he had a hog farm and he had some like one set of deer antlers hanging in the shed. That's all I
Yeah.
remember. Like that was it. And then he had a couple bows. One time, my brother and I like ran across in some old stuff in their attic, and so we got the bows down. We
Yeah.
went
Of
to
course.
the hardware store, bought some arrows, and we were shooting at like cardboard boxes full of T-shirts and stuff. And from
Yeah.
there, it was like, dude, I want to keep like expanding this mission. And my brother was kind of like, this is fun, but like let's go play video games, you know? So like anyway, long story short is like that's kind of how my hunting experience expanded, but there is something therapeutic to that. I need my own space to get out there and go do my own stuff, but I'm just you're built almost as an independent guy that can kind of mesh with a bunch of worlds. So it's kind of I don't know, it's interesting.
Man, you got me thinking now. One of my first accounts as a child, we went out to this, it was near Fort Stockton, way out West Texas, and my great uncle, I don't know, great uncle anyway, he had a huge cattle ranch out there, and we go out there. My dad's helping him, drive cattle or whatever. The first thing he says to me, he goes, "Hey, there's stock tanks out there. They got fish in it. You can go fish. But if you see any wild turkey, you run those turkey off because they're going to eat all my corn." So sure enough, I don't know how old I was. I think I was maybe like 7 or 8 or 9, somewhere in there. My brother was a little too young, but of course I go exploring, right? And sure enough, here's all these wild turkey. And I'm taking orders, right? So I
Yeah.
start chasing them, right? And that's the first time I realized wild turkey are really, really fast. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was sort of my first encounter with like, wildlife and things like that. Maybe that's what spurred my turkey passion, I think.
Spurt.
Yeah, spurred it on. Yep.
Yeah, boy.
Um,
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, it's I
um,
don't know. I didn't think we'd go down that rabbit hole, but yeah,
no, but like thinking all
it's
back to
interesting.
it,
Yeah.
and like sort of seeing where we're at now, you have to reflect on it
Yeah.
and sort of figuring out what drives you as a hunter and a person, and maybe all that does, and those small little things made you who you are today, right? Just like me.
That's it. Yep, exactly right, man. Yeah, it's wild. So so sorry, bring you all the way back. So you you decided to join the military. So you have a whole background of military, people in your life. What,
Yes.
where was that defining moment? You're like, you know what, I need to go do something different, or like, hey, go choose the army. Like, what made you go there?
Like the drive. Like I was a motivated person, but like just at that point in my life, probably like a lot of people, you're just sort of like at a crossroads and you have to make a real tough decision. And that was the decision I made. And my mom didn't like it. My dad was okay with it. My grandfather, was a big influence in my life, and he was a lieutenant colonel, retired infantry almost all of his career. And I, asked him, I said, "Hey, what do you think?" I think it's a good idea. So I signed up, and I just, I don't know. It was just a calling, I guess. And like I said, all growing up, every Halloween, I think I dress up like an army guy or like Rambo or something.
Yeah.
GI Joe was a huge influence, right?
Yep.
And but yeah, it just sort of called out to me, and went off to Fort Benning, did the whole infantry OSA training and all that. Went off to the airborne school there at Fort Benning too, and then off to Fort Bragg, and then traveled the world a couple of times after that. Went went like Louisiana, Korea, Afghanistan, Iraq, Germany. I was in all these places, and I finally landed on Idaho. Believe it or not, Idaho.
Hey, there you go.
But my first experience with hunting was around then, like at the tail end of my Louisiana Fort Polk station, right? I came down on orders for being a recruiter. And like at the end, my buddies, they were into hunting a lot. And I just, I didn't really get into it that much, but they had a huge influence on me. And I saw like some turkey videos that they were watching. I was really intrigued. I was like, man, that looks like a lot of fun, right? Like, I want to try that. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I had no clue. But all I knew was I was going to try to get good at turkey hunting right after that. So I went up to Idaho and I was in southeast Idaho. Have you ever been to the Idaho area?
Not Idaho specifically. Well, I take that back. I've driven through Idaho, but
Yeah.
we were stationed in Montana for like 5 years. So
Oh, yeah. Same
Montana,
terrain. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, kind of the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sure, it's more mountainous, but like in southeast Idaho, there are like large rolling hills,
Yep. Yep.
deep, those deep river ravines and whatever. But yeah, and I just looked up some public land and I went to Cabela's and bought a whole bunch of stuff, man. And you just go a little crazy. This is like 2007, I think. Yeah, it was 2007, Southeast Idaho, and I don't know what the heck I was doing. I bought a Primo CD called "Mastering the Art of Turkey Calling" with Will Primos and Troy Ruiz.
Well, let's
I
go, dude.
listened to that dang CD for like I would just listen to it over and over and over and over. And it came with like a couple mouth calls, right?
Yep.
And in my truck, that's all I did. I would just be practicing because I'd be listening to Troy Ruiz call because he's really good, and Will Primos, and so that's sort of how I sort of got started turkey hunting. Just my own sheer will, right? Like, and it was like super failure. I don't know if have you been turkey hunting before?
Dude, I love turkey hunting. Yeah. So I grew up in Iowa though. So
We will
like
have to go.
yeah, we need to. But trust me, we're gonna get there. The Iowa though, like it's deer or turkey. That's all we got. And the
Yeah,
occasional random thing across here from Wisconsin, like an elk or people say moose, whatever. But like, yeah, it's you're a turkey hunter, or you're a deer hunter in Iowa, and that's all you got. But yeah, man,
yeah,
I'm right there with you. So I know a ton of guys who've done the same thing, got the CD, turkey called in their truck. That's all they did, like practice. And that's where I got my first advice for turkey hunting was like, just get the CD, dude. Like listen to it in your truck, whatever, and
yeah,
call. And I just I remember so my first I always got into like box calling was the first call I'd ever gotten to because it's kind of the easy button right of like
yeah,
call turkey
yeah,
calling. But it was a Primos box call. So Primos, they're the
yeah,
people for turkey hunting. And and then I remember when I first got my first mouth call, it was like this revolutionary thing because like you didn't have to move your hands and figure out how to navigate from a call to a shotgun
yeah.
and play the whole game, right? So anyway, yeah, I kind of again got myself into turkey hunting, and it's been for the first at least four, maybe five turkeys I got, maybe six, was from the same like draw a 10-yard circle around an oak tree. And I got all my turkeys in that spot. Like it was like just one
That
way,
was the
shape, or
magic spot.
form. That's how it happened. Yep. But that's and I learned more and more as I went. But like first was luck. Second was, okay, I tried. And then the third was just kind of like, okay, I'm patterning this. But then
Right.
yeah, man, turkey hunting is sweet. And then we moved to Montana. So like you're talking about going to Idaho. In Montana, you can
Merriam's.
get I don't know about yet. Well, that was my yeah. I'm like, dude, let's go. Like we're not hunting Easterns anymore. Let's hunt Miriam's. And
Yeah.
my first Miriam hunt I ever went on was The first, Montana split up into 7 regions. I want to say 7 or 8 for turkeys. And you
Okay.
can put in for all the different regions, but region 4 was the only draw tag there is. That's where Malmstrom Air Force Base is. And so I put in the first year we got there, and I put in, I bought a couple turkey tags for other regions, didn't end up going, but I drew literally year 1 that I put in for a turkey tag in region 4. And I've been driving around like different places, and I knew where some turkeys were, where there's some like they call it block management units in Montana, Montana, and you can
Okay.
like sign in or whatever. There's different types, but you can like sign in to just go hunt this property basically. So I knew where some turkeys were, and I spent 4.5 hours, 5 hours on this turkey that I could have literally gotten out of my truck with my shotgun over my shoulder, walked over to, and just shot like at 15 yards, and it wouldn't have been the thing because they were. And I didn't realize that till I did all this stuff. I forgot my bino harness by a tree because I stripped down. I ended up belly crawling to this turkey, shoot it. It's on video. It's on my YouTube channel. Anyway, spent way too long hunting this turkey. I go to my truck, I get the bird put all away and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, I left my binos out there. So I start walking back. Well, the farmer had pulled into that time. These
Yeah.
turkeys were walking around following the farmer around like it was nobody's business, like they were his pets. And I was like, that's awesome, dude. I literally like it's raining all day, everything. So anyway, long story short, Merriam's, that's where I learned Merriam's in some parts of Montana, a little bit different. But Merriam's are a different bird, dude. Like anyway, so I hunted Merriam's a few times in Montana in some different spots, but I think I did a double one time in Region 7. I got one in Region 7 the next year, and then I got that Region 4 bird. So 4 total birds in Montana in my 5 years. But it's a different it's a different bird for sure.
The one subspecies I haven't got yet.
Dude,
Even in Idaho, like I tried 3 seasons and I just could not get it done.
they're weird, dude. Like when you go turkey
Oh
hunting, like
gosh.
the whole thing is calling, right? Like call, call,
Yeah.
call, call. Eastern birds, like again, growing up in Iowa, then we went to Virginia. That was our first duty station together. That's where I got out. And even Virginia, they're Eastern turkeys. So it's all about calling, but they're an aggressive bird. Like if you can get them in a certain situation, you can call them to
Yeah.
you, and you're gonna get them to come to you, and you can shoot them. Miriam's, like I've never seen a bird in my life that like it kind of depends on the day,
Why is
but
he
for
doing
the
that?
most, they just like they don't care. They're like, okay,
Yeah.
like cool, dude, you're talking. That's awesome. It's weird. Like you gotta like position yourself right for a Miriam, more
I
than you
learned
have to
that
call them to
too.
you. Yeah, it's wild.
It
So
was tough, dude. Like I was down in the Oneida Narrows. Now, this is in the very beginning when I was learning, right? And I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I didn't even know what calls did what. I was just trying to mimic what they were doing. I was
yeah,
cutting, I was probably putting when I was trying to cut, who knows? Um, but yeah, it was tough. Like I'd get set up on one like close to them and they'd be all up in these pines. You climb up a dang hill and just get on the same level, right? That's what I
yep,
read. And these dang birds would pitch all the way across. Like you down here, they go from this hill
yep,
all the way to the other hill. And here
yep,
you are, you're like, what do I do? I got to go
yeah,
down and go climb up again. But anyway, I'll have to. It's on my to do list.
dude, get
Go
with me
tag
on
a Marion.
Montana. We'll get you out of one to Montana. It's there's a couple spots if you're hunting Region 4 opened up to where it's part of the general. You can buy a tag now.
Oh
So anyway,
really?
Region 4, I'll drop a pin for you and
Mm,
say, hey, go hunt here. You'll figure it out. If not, we've got spots all over the state. I've got guys I can help you with, but it's they're a
beach.
weird bird, dude.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
That's the
down.
first
I'm
spot.
down.
Heck yeah, man. That's the first spot that I learned. The guy that's hunting the frontlines podcast. Like I said, we got to get you on talk about hunting Fort Hood and turkeys and everything else. Justin Wilson's his name. He lived in Kalispell when moved from Indiana to Kalispell. Him and I linked up there. That was probably the funniest hunt I've ever been on for a turkey. We went up there and he was like, dude, they walk through my backyard at this time every single day. Let's go. So I, cool. I'm about a Region 2 tag. Let's go. Get up there. There wasn't a turkey to be found in his yard, like period. Like the couple of days I was there. And then so we started like just going off into the different public areas and calling and stuff. The birds hang out in town, like in Kalispell or in 3-4, like they just hang out in all these different spots, but they hang out like in people's yards in town. And you're trying to kind of call them out of someone's yard up
Safe
into like the
havens.
area. Yeah, not even close, dude. So the craziest part was we had these, I don't know what kind of woodpeckers they were, but like whenever I would call, like if I was hitting a box call or a mouth call, these woodpeckers would mimic the rhythm, like they'd peck a tree, but to the rhythm that I just called the turkey. So Justin's convinced that I can call woodpeckers better than I can call turkeys. So that's its own thing. Like, well, that'll never be solved, I don't think. But anyway, there's turkeys all over that state, and you can hunt in Montana specifically. I don't know about Idaho, but you can hunt like I think 7 or 8 different birds in a year if you want to go all over the state and do all the tags. But yeah, so Region 4, I can definitely figure out, help you get some spots. Region 6 and 7, there's a lot of birds out there, and it's kind of the same thing. There's guys I can link you up with that'll
Yeah,
help you find some birds, man. But if you want to get a Miriam checked off your bucket list, Montana is the place to do it because you have 7 chances to get it done.
I'd love to. That'd be great. One of my bucket lists was always in Wyoming, the Devil's Tower area.
Yeah.
You know where Devil's Tower is?
Yep.
I
Yep.
always wanted to like go hunt and like take a picture with it behind me. That's
That'd
another
be epic, dude.
bucket list
Hey,
item. Yeah.
again, hunting the frontlines podcast. I'll link you up with Chad Parsons. They have a
Yeah.
oh man, that's bad. I should remember this. Anyway, long story short, they've got a whole veterans group that all they do is they link veterans up on hunts, and I'm sure they could figure that out for you. So that'd be awesome, man.
Cool. Yeah, I'm down. I'm down. And if they,
Heck yeah.
same for down here. If you have any friends that come down, I can guide them. No charge whatsoever. Obviously, just put them on some birds. You know what I mean?
Heck yeah, dude. Sure. Turkeys are one of those weird things. I don't really think about it much. Like when you're thinking about big game, turkeys are kind of an afterthought. But then you drive down the road and you see like here in um, I'm bad with the highways, so we've only been here a handful, like 9 months so far. So I'm still like
Yeah.
getting all the roadways like mental. But I know
Yeah.
exactly where I've seen birds all the time. Like I'm like, okay, cool. But then I pull up on X 3 miles
Yeah.
later. I'm like, oh, let's go.
Market.
Yeah, man. But
So
it's all
this will be
private
your
stuff.
first. It'll be your first spring here this year.
Well, yes, technically. So like we got here in April of last year, and I'm not sure on Texas turkey season like how far that goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, April of last year, but it was kind of a whirlwind landing we had here in Texas. So hunting was an afterthought until this fall. Yeah, so this will be my first real spring here in Texas. Yeah.
Ooh, you've hunted Rios? You hunted Rios?
I haven't yet, no, but I've been told, and maybe you can tell me otherwise. I've been told they're the easiest turkey you'll ever hunt in your life.
It depends.
It depends. Okay.
If you're anything like me, then I think you'll save your shot for that one.
Okay. Okay.
A lot of guys like they don't. They're not beard chasers like me. They just shoot jakes and stuff, which is fine, no big deal.
Yeah.
I like to go after like I'll scout a lot. I'll scout a whole bunch, and I'll look for one serious dude, and I will chase that guy until I cannot find him anymore. Right?
Yep.
Or and that'll be my goal. And if I don't if they don't make it happen and I can't find them anymore, then I'll just go to my plan B. Right?
Yep.
So I like to chase those hard to get ones for sure.
Okay. Yeah, the one of the gals I had on one of our Operation Conservation episodes was Bailey Palmer from NWTF. And she came down here to Texas and she's gotten Eastern birds from the Carolinas. And she got her Eastern birds, obviously. That's kind of how she cut her teeth turkey hunting. And then she went to South Dakota, got her first Miriam. And then she came to Texas and she was like, dude, like I was 10 minutes out of the truck, sat down, called, bird was in my lap, bam, shot him, done. And I was like, okay, but I've actually heard that
true.
like Rios are actually kind of like just an easier bird to chase. And I don't know why, and I'm never going to hang my hat on that until I've experienced it myself. But like the only thing I can imagine, this is me experiencing the Texas landscape for a very limited amount of time, is that these birds have no choice but to either show up to see what's calling or like just not show up, like kind of point
Yeah.
blank period. And like the Miriams, from what I've experienced, I they don't seem to respond to calls as much, and I don't know why exactly. But from what I can tell, again, is that they kind of hang out in areas that their eyes do most of the work for them. So their
Yeah.
ears, like they'll hear you and they'll be interested, but they'll use their eyes to verify if that's like legit or something that I'll explore it later. An eastern bird seems to be a little bit more aggressive. They're also in usually heavy timber, sometimes rolling hills, whatever the case is. Like they kind of have to use their ears and use their like I'm gonna beat your butt like to show up and like figure it out. Like
Yeah.
it just so anyway, I don't know about Rio, but that's the only thing I can figure out because deer hunting kind of seems to be the same thing. Is like you're not gonna know something's there until you're right on top of it. And I've heard like for deer in particular, like rattling might be a particularly good method of getting a deer to show up, but
Yeah.
like there with this like I don't know, like you can tell me better maybe what the local like um trees and stuff are, but like everything's like head height. So you kind of you really do have to be right on top of something to really know what's there.
Yeah. The grass sometimes makes it really hard for a turkey hunter here because you got that like I think it's called hay barn or yeah, some type of hay grass, right? Grows real
Mm-hmm.
tall. And I've
Yeah.
seen it happen a couple times. Shoot, I'm even guilty of it too, just missing because you can't really see that head and then get that opportunity, and it's just
Yeah.
not as good as you want, and the bird flies off. But the grass makes it a little difficult. There are some close quarter stuff, but if you can get to a position where you're a little higher than them, and you can
Mm-hmm.
put something out where they can see, and they'll come investigate, and then you're in the ambush. That's a really good method that I've found works pretty good around here anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I've hunted Osceola, I've hunted Merriam, I've hunted Easterns, and I've hunted Rios. Rios are very active. They're active birds, especially in the morning, evening time too. But those first 2 weeks, that's going to be your money area, your money time, because they're going to get too pressured, especially on Fort Hood. They'll get
Okay.
heavily pressured. There's going to be a lot of people those first couple of weeks. Um, so that's why scouting, I think, is critical. A lot of us local guys, the longer you hunt, the more you'll be able to be like, they're it's pretty reliable in this area. Um,
Yeah.
they are creatures of habit. They like certain spots and they like to roost in a lot of the same areas. For instance, I've shot three birds, just like you, right? Like you have that special spot. Three
Yep.
three birds, three really mature birds, like in the same spot on the same trail, and they like to roost in the same little uh, draw. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like you'll get used to that, but the longer you hunt, the bigger, the more of a trophy you're going to want. You're going to seek those bigger ones, the big beard dragon birds that are hard to get, and some are quiet, some are just really hard to get. There's some there's some birds out there this year that are going to be really good, I think, for sure.
You got your eyes on something. That's awesome, dude.
I didn't even
This
shoot a bird last year. I didn't even shoot one. A lot of Jakes, man. There's gonna be a lot of 2 year olds this year. A whole
okay.
lot.
Never.
Uh,
I,
a lot of the area was closed down a couple of years ago. There was a huge fire, like a giant fire. A lot of things were shut down, and then like a lot of training happened. So a lot more areas got shut down the next year. And then it was a really good hatch. The Rios around here had like it was just super wet. The green up was great. I mean, it was a really really green spring, so it was good for turkey. And so
yeah.
that was a good hatch. And then the next year was a good hatch. So there'll be a lot of good turkey out there this year. A lot.
Talking to a dedicated turkey hunter here, man. That's awesome. We started with a deer hunting podcast, and
Yeah, I know.
yeah,
We get off
turkey's
track.
where it's at. Clearly, no, that's awesome, dude. That's it's cool, and yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of places across the country that are kind of hurting for turkeys a little bit. There's a lot of things going wrong, but then to hear like certain places, hey, and all due to military training, let's call it that. At the end of the day, hey, the military is doing something right by the turkeys, so that's great.
That ecosystem, that
Yeah.
ecosystem.
Well, so I'm learning this whole Fort Hood landscape around here too, right? So like, been driving around a lot with a little guy, and he's ate up with everything hunting. So we drive around, we look for animals, whatever. And there's a spot over by Belton Lake, one of the wildlife manager. It's Corps of Engineers land, and
Right.
I don't know if it's one of the spots on that's kind of controlled by Fort Hood if you can hunt it or not. But either way, we drive out through the different roads out there. There's a couple of like fishing, they call them lakes, but they're like in my mind they're kind of more like ponds or whatever. So we go
Yeah.
fishing out there every now and then. But there's a lot of like little just gravel roads you can travel around and whatever. And so we'll go looking for deer. And I've ran across several spots, man, where you get
Yeah.
15, 20 turkeys crossing the road at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
So my Onyx is covered with pins, but I don't know if you can hunt them or not. But same thing. It's like, holy cow, there's a healthy turkey population around here.
There is, and
Yeah.
I'm really happy that we can be a part of it. Um, I've been running the Fort Hood Turkey Hunters group on Facebook for a while now, probably like 5 years, I think, six maybe. But I try to keep people informed, and I try to keep the turkey on a high pedestal because everybody loves deer hunting. Everybody loves, big racks and stuff. But there's something real magical about the turkey. I'm just glad I can like have a voice for it because I think it's one of the best game animals out there to hunt and introduce youth to it. My daughter, she cut her teeth hunting turkey, and she's shot two really good longbeards so far. Pretty jealous, but that's what it's all about.
That's awesome. We'll talk a little bit about that. How'd you get involved in Fort Hood Turkey Facebook page? I know when you and I first talked about the podcast, like you were talking about that group, and I didn't know, like, is that something that's like quote unquote official on Fort Hood that you run, or is that more of a Facebook page? Just like, hey, if you're gonna hunt Fort Hood, here's resources, how to do it. Like, what's turkey hunting on Fort Hood all about with the Facebook side?
So so Fort Hood Hunters is another off brand. It's not DoD or anything. It's the same there's like Fort Hood Duck and Dove, and there's Fort Hood Turkey Hunters, and that's just sort of my slice of the pie, just to keep people informed on what's going on out on Fort Hood, and just try to help people get started because there's a lot of people that have so many questions, especially on that other page. But I know we just do turkey on ours, but I just try to inform people best I can with turkey hunting. I don't. A lot of people get mad at me because they're like, "Fort Hood is a secret." Like, no, man. Let's advocate for it. It's a public area. To each his own. If I don't get a bird that year, oh well. I'm just going to keep trying. I'm not going to give up. But yeah, I got into it. I just been admin. I just keep people informed, and yeah, I like teaching people how to turkey hunt. And I think in February we're going to do a seminar on post, and this is our fourth or fifth seminar. We've had some decent turnouts. A lot of the older guys like to come, and I like to see them, and because those guys are some good turkey hunters. I mean, you're talking hundreds of turkey tagged by these guys. And so it's good to see the community come together. And that's really what it's all about. And I do the same class over and over, but some new people come. And maybe you should come. Maybe you'll learn about the Rio. Yeah, because that's what it's all about.
You can count me in, man. I'll absolutely be there. And that's the cool part. Like, we've been here. So I don't know. Kind of jumping back into the military lifestyle thing, right? So like I did guard for 6 years, 4 years was kind of on my own. My wife did ROTC. She got stationed in Virginia. So my job followed her. That's where I did my last 2 years at an active duty base. And then from then, man, I'm inside of it. Moving from base to base has been a little I don't know, it's kind of surreal as a hunter because every time you move, stateside is one thing, and then whatever, we can grab a whole different side on the overseas stuff, but like
Yeah.
the stateside is its own world because every state is its own world. Every state has its own, uh, in some case, military benefits,
Yeah.
in some case, military restrictions, and whatever. Or one state's military benefit might be another state's restriction, just depending on how it all plays out. So you really have to learn it every single time you move. And so we went from Iowa, it was where we both grew up, and then Virginia to Montana. Montana is like a sportsman's paradise. That's its own podcast. And then you jump back to East Coast for us. We went to Maryland because she's at Walter Reed to get her doctorate
Oh
degree.
yeah.
And so Fort Hood for us is like a very short tour. So like honestly, dude, in my mind, like having a 3-year-old at home and now a baby on the way, like my head's been like get in, get out, like just mission
Yeah.
forward. She needs to get her stuff done. I'm here to support her and let's roll. But then the hunter in
Yep.
me is like, this sucks. Like I'm going to a sportsman paradise like Texas, and I can't like I don't have enough time to get it all figured out. But I'm like, well, dude, at the end of the day, we're here for like 14, 15 months total. And it's like, okay, I know there's opportunities here. And then again, with the network or the podcast network, we've got Hunting the Frontlines with Justin Wilson. I know Fort Hood is kind of its own little hunting sportsman's paradise if you have the time to dedicate and find the resources to get out there. So the fact that
Yeah.
you're out there doing that is awesome. And that was at Malmstrom was the first place I got to see that. So Malmstrom doesn't have, although there are some awesome whitetails that somehow get trapped in Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana. There's some killer whitetails on that base that no one will ever have the chance to hunt. But like
Yeah.
the state of Montana by itself is this wild sportsman paradise. But that was the first place I'd ever seen where the base sets up different people to come in and do different seminars. And the first one I ever attended was a bear hunting seminar, and just happened to get lucky. I won a $250 gift card to a local gun shop in town for whatever. And then they had deer hunting ones, elk hunting ones, all this stuff, and it was like this really cool thing because that's really where like hunting the front lines kind of comes in too. It's supposed to be this like sportsman's resource for the active duty veteran community to learn more about hunting. So like what you're doing here is awesome, and I know so we're kind of crossing a bridge here too. So you do this turkey hunting page on your own, Fort Hood Turkey Hunters, and then your hat for those who aren't watching the video, like you've got the one MO, One Mission Outdoors archery range. So One Mission Outdoors, I kind of understand is its own thing. Now you
Yeah.
guys have an archery range, and you guys also like, and I've um, been trying to play the 3-year-old schedule, trying to figure out if I can help out with some of this stuff or not. But you guys do seminars on Fort Hood with like deer hunting, saddle hunting, you name it. Like you guys are trying to be that voice in the outdoors world, kind of in this Fort Hood community of like, hey, let's teach people how to hunt. So like, let's get into One Mission Outdoors. How did that all begin? How's One Mission Outdoors a little different than One Mission Outdoors archery range? Like all this stuff.
I think I was in South Korea, and I was stationed at Fort Hood, and we had, gone over to South Korea to do a training rotation. And I was talking to a couple friends that I was with about starting a little hunting group, around the Fort Hood area. And because I love to turkey hunt, and I was a pretty creative person. I was like, I think I can make some videos or whatever. And so I was like, what should we call it? And no one else really had an idea. They're like, I don't, it sounds cool, but I'm not really into it. So I was, I kicked it around for a while, and I tried to do one like the spelled out
Yep.
ONE, but someone else had it. And I was like, okay,
Yep.
well, there's got to be something else I can do. So I just put the number one in front of it. I was like, that looks pretty cool. And then it just sort of blossomed, and I started playing on with Adobe Express, and I made a logo. And then I met a couple other people, and I asked them if they wanted to be a part of the group. And they're like, yeah, that sounds cool. And so it started off like in Texas. And I tried to figure out, because I was the Fort Hood Turkey admin guy, right? And everybody knew who I was. So I just kept asking like some of the best turkey hunters in the group, like, do you guys want to be a part of this One Mission Outdoors thing I'm trying to make? And everyone's like, yeah, it sounds cool. I'm like, okay. So we started with a little Facebook page, and we just posted stuff. It was really dumb. I was just kept trying to like make us relevant, right? You know how the social media game is.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
Um, but the one thing that I found that was sort of key to the whole thing was everyone being a veteran and everyone loving the outdoors. I was like, those two things are what's going to make this group work because being part of a team everybody likes in the military. I was like, how can I bring people to one central location where we can have our own little hunt group? And
Yeah.
that's where it all sort of manifested. But it wasn't until I think 2018 that it sort of became a thing. Uh, so back into the deer hunting deal, I was hunting TA-71, which is on West Fort Hood. I was bow hunting, right? I had this nice little spot, cool looking tree. I had a little feed area. It was great. Uh, so I'm coming down the trail and I see this big dude, like big, and just walking up the trail. And I'm coming down from my hunt and I go, "Hi, what's up, man?" He goes, "Oh, I'm just, uh, I'm just scouting around." I'm like, "Man, don't. I'm up there a little ways. If you don't mind, I'll show you a whole different spot." Like, what's your name? "Oh, my name's Justin." So that's where me and Justin Cox met.
Yeah, yeah.
I was coming off the hill and he was going up, and I just sort of like kicked him off my hill.
Uh,
But anyway,
which and even more funny about this is so I know very like I met you a couple times, once on accident at Salado in the creek.
yeah, yeah,
The other, but I've met you at the meeting, and then I've only seen Justin once, and I had a whole
yeah,
different guy painted in my head. You're telling the story, I'm like, I don't know who he's about to talk about, and then to know it's Justin is even funnier. So
yeah.
that's awesome.
So like, really, One Mission Outdoors was sort of a thing, right? Like it was just sort of me. Um, but I invited him. I was like, "Hey man, like I got this idea." He was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool. That sounds like a household name." Yeah, it's pretty neat. Like, do you like this logo? He's like, "Yeah, it's pretty cool." And he was sort of into the media stuff too. So we just started like taking pictures. And really, that's the main thing we do is just take pictures and tell a story. But yeah, I got him into saddle hunting, which was really awesome to see. I helped him try to grow as a bow hunter throughout that season. It was like trying to teach him and everything. Like, hey, this is what I would do. This is if I was going to set up here. This is what I would do. Do this, do that. Try this, try that. And I think eventually he got a doe down, and then the next year he got a buck down, and then now he's like rocking and rolling, right? Uh, and that's what it's all about. And like building those core bonds are pretty critical. But getting off track.
No, you're
But that's where
on track.
that's sort of where One Mission Outdoors formed, was in the woods.
In the
We
woods, that's
made
awesome.
that. We made it in the woods, right? And
In the woods and on base.
yeah, on base.
Yeah, yeah.
And it just sort of grew. And I was a first sergeant throughout that time. So I knew like a lot of other guys that were really good hunters. And being in the Army for like 18, 19 years, you meet a lot of people. So I just kept asking people, like, "Hey man, you want to be in part of one Mission Outdoors? You want to?" And I had like 25 guys in the group at one point. And then it started, fizzling down a little.
Yeah.
Right now we're at 12 in the field staff, the media staff. Um, but the archery range sort of came to be like last year. We I wanted to make an LLC, which One Mission Outdoors is an LLC,
Hmm.
but we weren't real sure what avenue to take the archery range. Um, but let's rewind a little bit. Let's talk about how the archery range even came to be. I think I told you this story, but I was
Yeah.
bow hunting
Let's
out.
hit it, man. Yeah.
I, I, I was bow hunting out there. I had been bow hunting out there for like 2 years. And I put that feeder out there. I was hunting that feeder. I was hunting out of a blind. I was hunting out of the big tree out there. And there was a decent population of deer. And there was there was one really, really good buck. And I was after him dead set. Like, that's the one. Uh, Perfect shot lined up at 25 yards, let her rip. Hit that dude. He mule kicked and he cleared the next fence over.
Oh man.
So I hit him. I think this was like 2 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and he jumped the fence. The next one to the right, if you're looking at the hill, he jumped that fence, ran, or he laid down over there in the cedars, and I gave it 30 minutes. Like, I smoked that dude. No kidding. I got out of the blind, and like I walked around the oaks where the feeder is, and I just see him looking square at me.
Oh
I was like,
no.
oh no. He got up and he ran towards the hill. And I was like, oh no, that's not good. I wonder where I hit him. Like, I don't know. I walked over where he was laying, and he had like there was like a little blood. I was like, man, I must have grazed him low or something. And I tried everything, couldn't find him, couldn't recover him, felt terrible. And it was at that moment, I sort of got on my knees. I was like, Lord, that was a terrible thing that just happened. I feel terrible. Help me. Right? I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just something said, maybe this isn't for hunting. Maybe this is for something else. And I thought about it, I thought about it, I thought about it. I prayed about it, and I don't know, just like, I think this is going to be a good archery range. I think this would make a great archery range. And I pitched it to Justin because we were both sort of hunting out there a little bit.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean, we sat out there many, many days and just thought about it. I watched that sun go down back there, and it's like, man, this is my idea. This is what I think. This is the sort of the vision that I foresee. Because TAC, right?
Yeah.
You
Yep.
familiar with Total Archery Channel?
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
That is what I was like, dude, we can do that. We can do that right here in this little place. We can totally do it. He's like, yeah, I think we can do it. And then we started talking about money.
Yep. Yep.
And I was like, dude, I don't know, man. Because we were trying to figure it out. And we're paying out of pocket for like first 6 months to a year. And it was just like, man, we can't do this. So we talked about loans and all this other stuff. And I bought the first set of targets, and I was like, we just gotta get this ball rolling. Justin was like, just get the ball rolling.
Yep.
I'm like, okay. So I bought all these targets, and then we decided that we were going to become a nonprofit. And I think that's probably the best decision we ever made, because all these other organizations are starting to notice us.
Yeah.
And now we're on like the ASA circuit and all this other stuff, right? And we're growing, put freaking saddle poles in. Uh, there's stuff that I didn't like. I envisioned it, I saw it, but I would never think it would be the way it is today. Honestly, from where we started to where it is now, it's like wow,
Yeah.
that's nuts, man. That is crazy. But I'm really proud of it. Proud of those
Absolutely.
guys.
Yeah, you should be, dude.
Those
That's
two
you
work.
guys. Yeah. Yeah, man. It's and I didn't realize, so we got here, and first thing I did, I'm but with Lights Fire Outdoors, we're partnered with Dead Nuts Outdoors, which is a 2D target company. So I've got my backyard, I've got my blocks and my bags and whatever, and shooting 20 yards, and I'm like, I got to figure out something different. Number one for me as a hunter, I need to get distance, but also like, stretch some stuff
Yeah.
out, do some filming and whatever. And I Googled, archery ranges near Killeen, Texas. and nothing popped up. And I was like, there's no way. There's no way. The whole big, I'm thinking Fort Hood, you know, you can tell me I'm probably way out the box here, but tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, whatever it is of soldiers and families and everything out here, there's got to be hunters out here that have a demand for that. And there
Yeah.
just wasn't. And I remember I waited a couple of days. Then one time my wife went to go do something, and whatever, one of those, like, again, alone times, had the house to myself. And I'm like, so I was dedicating myself to organizing the garage, all the moving boxes and all this crap. And I'm like, while I'm doing that, I'm listening to a podcast, and something triggers me again. Hey, something about hunting, or archery range. So I Google it again, and 1MO archery range pops up this time, and I'm like, okay, cool. Where's this at? And it tells me where it's at. I'm like, oh, that's really close, actually. That's pretty cool. And I call it, and Alan,
Hey, you talk to me.
right? Maybe I did talk to you. I'm not even sure. I called. It might have been Alan. I'm not sure.
It
But
probably
I
was.
called, and it was like, I think it was Alan. It was like a gruff sounding dude, and I'm like, okay, like, hey, how's it going? But at that time, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I think I just signed up for something. I need to hop on the website. I got to fill out this stuff. But I'm also like, is this a real thing? Like, but I didn't realize it was as young as it was, right? And so then I show
Yeah.
up, and Alan greets me at the gate, and we he walks me through, which I thought was the coolest thing. I'm like, I get it if it's a thing you just show up to and kind of enter your code or whatever. But dude, I had a personal guide, like, kind of walk me around, show me the whole thing, and also kind of explain the vision of what you guys were doing. And the thing I loved the most was that he got into, like, him and I sat at the truck probably for a good 30 minutes, 35 minutes before he said, hey, man, I got to go. And I actually got to shooting, but we just were everything you guys were doing for the Fort Hood community. I was like, this is amazing. Like, number one, I want to be a part of it however I can. Number two, like, I know we're here for a short amount of time, but like, I'm going to make sure I spread the word. And I
Yeah.
didn't realize you guys were that young though. I knew there was, like, you get out there and, like, there's some, the target concept. I hope I'm not being too critical here, but like, I was like, okay, I knew they were young because of, like, how your guys' setup looked, right? And I'm like, okay,
Yeah. Right.
this is cool though. Like, I have a spot I can come out and shoot. I can shoot out to 50 yards. I don't know all the details about this 3D area back behind it, but I know that's kind of off limits. But there's cool things that are going to happen there. And then so I took the little guy out there, man, and he just whatever. He's a 3-year-old first kid, and he's out there shooting his bow and just loving it and all the things. He
Yeah.
could go do his thing, I could do my thing, and it was just kind of our own little escape, for a little bit, outside of whatever else we had going on. So that was cool. But then now you guys, man, like, all your stands and all your targets are up on legit stands, which I love. They're the way you guys have spread them out now to where you have multiple shooting lanes, and, like, everybody can kind of spread out and shoot it. You get multiple people in there at a time. I'm lucky enough I get to kind of do it during the day, so I get to show up and there's no one there. I get the whole place to myself, which is kind of fun. But now you guys have shooting houses, and I've got a chance to do the 3D course with you guys. And, like, long story short here is I didn't know you guys were that young. Like, I didn't know you literally kind of just started, like, with us being here. So I feel kind of cool with that a little bit. Like, that's kind of neat. But also, dude, you guys are doing some cool stuff, and it's turning into quite the place. Like, it's going to be, and I need to go see, and I will see. So on Sunday, it's a little bit, you guys are going to hear this way after this podcast gets launched. But, like, on Sunday, you have a mobile hunter shootout, and we just launched this knee bag. And so you guys have invited us out there. But whatever, I'm going to tell you now, like, we're donating a couple knee bags to you guys for you guys to go do your thing with and donate to the winners. But either way, I'm excited to go see it, but I can't wait till after our family cookout thing. I'm going to be out there. I'm going to be climbing those poles, dude. That is the coolest thing. Like, I have a place where a mobile hunter can go and actually climb a pole and shoot. Like, where does that exist besides someone's backyard that has a tree they can do that? That's incredible.
We we wanted to, so we have the opportunity to do a lot of different stuff because of the experiences that we have. And those saddle poles are just like, I think the wave top. We want to hold those competitions on a regular basis, like more than once a year. But we have an opportunity to do, like, an all elevated shooting lane, right? Let's say, awesome. Hey, I need to practice my elevated shots, but I also want to do some light groundwork, right? We have an opportunity to set up some tree stand type stuff where you climb up, and you actually sit down like you're going to be sitting down in a tree stand and you're shooting. and you take a couple shots and you move on to the next one, right? But that's the kind of stuff that I think would help create more bow hunters, and just help them be better, make better shots, be more calm, practice being safe, and just
Yeah.
conversing about gear and opportunities out there for all sorts of different hunters and archers and whoever. Yeah,
No,
that's sort
I
of where we're
love it, man.
starting.
Yeah. And bow hunting is, it's bow hunting, not any hunting. Hunting is a community, and then you got like sub communities inside of it, right? So like bow hunting and gun hunting are probably the two
Yeah,
biggest dividers. Like community comes in, like I love it what you guys are doing because you're building a community space for people to get together and say, hey, like we all enjoy this common thing, but like let's all get together. It doesn't really matter what subcategory you fall into. Let's be
yeah.
better. And I don't know anywhere that the saddle thing, the saddle poles blew my mind a little bit because I'm like, it just nothing in my mind that
Me neither.
we've been several states, dude, and it's never existed. And when I saw that, and I heard about it, and then I saw the pictures, and I'm like, these guys are really doing it. Like that's cool, dude. Like that's awesome.
I didn't think we were
Like,
going to be able to do it, but Alan made it
but how,
happen. I don't know. Guy works
but like
magic.
when you see it, like that's the best part about it because. And we talk so Dead Nuts Outdoors, 2D Target
Yeah,
Company. Their whole thing was rooted in a dad and a mom. They had the resources to figure out how to make these targets, and the whole reason they even did it was like, hey, our kids are wanting to hunt. Let's teach them how to make a
yeah,
proper shot on an actual animal, not not a static, just always broadside 3D, or not just a static block and a dot,
yeah.
right? So that's where this whole thing came from, was how to be a better hunter. So we have those conversations all the time, and where it comes down to is one of the things that's hard is or funny is the guys that work in the office there, like none of them are hunters. This episode is powered by Dead Nuts Outdoors, makers of the most lifelike, lightweight, and weatherproof 2D archery targets in the world. That's right, I said 2D. We're talking full-size animals that bring the hunt to your backyard. Whether you're dialing in before the season or just burning daylight with your bow, Dead Nuts Targets makes practicing fun, training on full-size animals to ensure every rep in the backyard converts to success on your trips to the field. Built to last, easy to haul, compatible with any backstop, and 100% made in the USA, Dead Nuts Outdoors is a proud supporter of our veterans, investing in conservation and rooted in building a better, more confident community of hunters every step of the way. They are proud supporters of the Prayin and Slayin podcast network, and you can get 10% off your Dead Nuts targets by using the code Prayin and Slayin at checkout. That's Prayin and Slayin at your checkout, or visiting the link in the show notes. Dead Nuts is helping us all hit the spot, not the dot. Hit it, Dead Nuts. In the woods or on the water, it's the small details that dictate success or failure. A ruined diaphragm call or a lost fly isn't just a nuisance, it's a blown opportunity. You spend thousands on the hunt, don't lose it because you didn't protect your tools. Puck Outdoors has solved this with their 100% made in the USA modular twist lock storage systems. For hunters, the Puck keeps your elk and turkey mouth calls protected, organized, and dry, and ready to run. No more warped reeds, searching through pockets, junk drawers, or the truck floorboards. For fishermen, the Fishing Puck features a magnetic tray in 4 modular compartments to keep your hooks, flies, and weights locked down in exactly where you need them. It's compact, it's rugged, and it's built to keep your most critical gear in peak condition season after season. The best part is they fit right in your pocket, your bino harness, or your fishing vest. Don't let poor organization be the reason you come home empty-handed. Go to puckoutdoors.com and use code Prayin and Slayin to get yours. That's code Prayin and Slayin to save 10%. Protect your calls, secure your tackle. Puck in, pack out. Now, let's get back to the episode. So, like, when you talk to them, they're like, okay, so, like, I talk a lot about, like, when I first moved to Virginia, when we got stationed there at Langley, the first thing I did was join a 3D archery group and an indoor, for the first time ever, I did an indoor league. And that indoor league taught me more about shooting my bow than I ever thought I could learn in my life. Like I thought I was good. I could hit a paper plate at 50 or whatever, like the easy, what I call now like easier stuff. But I thought I was really doing something. But then you go inside and it's 20 yards. Oh, piece of cake. Dude, you're hitting a dime, a 5-spot league, 3-spot league. You're hitting a dime over and over and over and over and over again for 60 shots, whatever it is a night. And all of a sudden, like now you're at full draw and you can feel when your elbow is just a quarter of a degree off, or when that bow goes off, you know exactly what went wrong because you've just done it so many times. so anyway, we talk about all this stuff with like these office guys at Dead Nuts. It's like, dude, like you need to talk like the motto is hit the spot, not the dot. However, hitting a dot over and over is just as important as getting out and shooting a full size animal over and over. Now you're talking
Hmm.
about shooting, from an elevated position, 20, 30, however far up versus this and an angle
Yeah.
shot and like all these things. It takes a lot of practice to be proficient. And like a lot of guys spend a lot of time on the range, or me in my backyard here, I've got a 15-yard target. Bam, bam, bam. Every day of the week, I can, in my dead nuts
Hmm.
targets, I punch a 50-cent piece hole in them in a week. It's done. But you
Yeah.
take me out to the one MO range where I'm shooting 50 yards and my 50-yard group looks like this. And you're like, okay, I got to tighten that up a little bit, right? But now I got to, but then I'm a saddle hunter too. So now I'm not
Yeah.
practicing shooting from a pole. So now I get to like all these things are just what you guys are doing is incredible, man. I think it's the craziest thing ever that you put telephone poles out there, the guys get to climb and go shoot at them. It's like the coolest thing ever.
At your own risk,
Yeah,
at
well,
your
that
own
too. Yeah,
risk.
there's disclaimers here. Exactly. So,
we
well, no,
we just
that's so.
wanted to recreate the actual thing with the armadillo bow course and these saddle poles, the towers of terror, or whatever we want to call them. We just wanted. I like
Yeah,
to train the way I'm going to hunt, just
yep,
like in the military, we do the same thing. We train like to fight, right?
yep.
And that's sort of the characteristics that we wanted to stick with this range. And hopefully people like it. And I think people do. And I hope we can sustain it.
No, I think it's incredible, dude, and in so much opportunity there, it's insane. And then even at your 3D course that I went and did with you guys, um, you had a shot that was out of a ground blind, so that's a little bit different too. Like you're hey, let's put guys in hunting scenarios, and like
Yeah.
I knew the oak tree you're talking about, the big tree where you hunt out of, because there's a tree stand up there, right? And then you guys are talking about
Yeah.
tree stand, like tree stand courses you guys are doing, and
Yeah.
the whole harness in, harness out type stuff, and it's cool. You guys are building a community, and you're rooted in the idea that you're all hunters, which is awesome. It's not just about the target stuff, and you guys. I'll be honest, like you guys get a little like in the ASA and all that stuff. That's a little outside my element, which is awesome. I love it. But like, I'm like, okay, I'm not that competition shooter. I'm the guy that like I'll shoot 3D because I think it's
All
fun.
right.
But
Same.
at the end of the day, like I'm like, hey, let's get out there. So I love that you guys are in the competition scene and the ASA tournaments and all that stuff too, which is just incredible. And it's getting you guys recognized. And yeah, it's a neat range, dude. And what you guys are doing here, and remind me again, it's the only, right, in like Central Texas, kind of the only range of its kind out there.
Yeah, so you got like hill country bow hunters. You have like Oak Ridge of Texas. They have a walk and shoot course, but really like we're open all the time
Yeah,
for members. You have to be a member, and then we try to mix it up every month. Try to do something at least once a month for people, member or not, just to come and shoot. We're always trying to think of the next coolest thing and what would be fun. On top of all the education that we try to offer, and we try to really focus on those youth shooters. We want a youth team. We want to try to get in the schools and like just teach archery and just be a community, right? That's sort of the
yeah.
focus of it.
No, I love that,
And
man. Yeah, the education side too. I know. So Alan, again, I was talking to me about how like you guys, maybe he does it on the one MO side, but like you guys can certify people to be archery coaches as well.
so Alan is a level 3 USA archery instructor, which means he
Okay.
can teach level 1 and 2. You know, and that'll certify someone to teach archery. And that's sort of what we do on Fort Hood. They do the Warrior Adventure Quest, which a unit on Fort Hood will reserve the Warrior Adventure Quest archery program. And they'll bring that unit to the archery range on Fort Hood, which is just it's a 50-yard range, real small. But Alan comes there and he supervises the Warrior Adventure Quest shoot on post. And yeah, he certifies people. People can sign up for it. It's just it's a fee for USA Archery and you to purchase that certificate, but it'll make you able to go teach a lot of different stuff. And it's just another accreditation on your resume, so to say, for your archery stuff. Yeah.
Very cool, man. Yeah, because that's like I said, man. The stuff you guys are doing at the range is awesome. The backstory is really cool. You guys literally met hunting, and that's kind of how it all started. And
Yeah.
now you're giving back to that same community where you guys started too. Like you guys are getting back to Fort Hood and put on these different events and hunting seminars, but also like legitimate, getting people into bow hunting. And I don't know if you ever heard of Index Archery. I had Jason McCoy, the founder of that, on, but I think we need to get you guys like partnered up somehow or just
Yeah.
introduced to each other, because what they do is they get guys who are struggling with PTSD into archery all over the United
Yeah.
States for the kind of the sheer fact of it can provide a form of therapy for guys too. Just you're struggling with something, instead of grabbing the bottle or doing something else, get out there, go shoot your bow, and just and archery kind of like, again, I go back to like the indoor league stuff, man. When you're focused on putting an arrow in that same spot over and over and over, it really does settle you
Uh,
out a little bit because you have to be focused on it. And so these guys have kind of found that out, and Jason was a story or a product of the story at the end of the day through some of the stuff he struggled with.
yeah.
But yeah, that's what they do now, and they've got guys all over the place and stationed in all these different places. And Nathan Monteith is their guy out of San Antonio, um,
Okay.
stationed down there on the Air Force side. But anyway, long story short is the stuff you guys do on Fort Hood. I know there's an easy transition with that, and it's all, again, veterans doing the same stuff through archery to get other veterans help. And but then the stuff you guys do to introduce people to that is kind of like perfect opportunity there for a
Yeah.
partnership. So really cool stuff.
Yeah. Those guys are, Alan is such a blessing, and Justin is super smart, and all the volunteers that we have had help along the way, there's just, you can't ask for anything more than that. And Phil and Alan, those two brothers, man, I don't know where this range would be if it wasn't for those two, because those guys are, they're a different breed. Ray
Yeah, man.
Fazio, that guy, he's different. He's just, everybody has done so much for this range, and I don't feel like I compare to these people because they just do so much. But it's funny that you mentioned the PTSD stuff, because honestly, that's one of the reasons why I got into hunting, is just to sort of decompress your mind,
Mm-hmm.
try to connect with something much bigger than yourself, spiritually and even physically, seeing animals and whatever. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely, bow hunting definitely calms the mind. And we'd love to see more of that out off the range and just help these dudes get, feel better and just talk about it. I think is the most important thing for guys
Yeah,
like
man.
that.
100%, dude. And I didn't realize, and this podcast has been a good, an unintended consequence, or not consequence is a bad word for it, but like an unintended side effect of this podcast is like some of the different people I've gotten a chance to connect with,
Yeah.
unintentionally. Like I had one of the owners, one of the two brothers that own HHA bow sites. Or HHA Archery. He reached out to me through Facebook. He found my podcast somehow and was like, "Hey, man, love what you're doing. I'd love to come on if it's something you'd want to have me on." I was like, "Okay, cool. Like that's awesome." One of the guys of HHA is wanting to get
Wow.
me on.
Yeah.
Like,
That
sweet,
is
dude.
awesome.
I was like, "Let's go." I did something. And dude, one of the most humbling experiences I've ever had in my life, just having him on. I mean, like it's a God thing, dude. The fact that he found the podcast and came on, and then
Yeah.
that's how I found Index Archery. Actually, I had these two bows down in my basement forever, and like the whole like back of my mind excuse was like, "Oh, they're backup bows. If I ever want to hunt and I need it, blah blah blah." And
Okay.
I
Yeah.
just at the end of the day, I couldn't come to terms with like selling them. And every time we'd go to move, my wife would be like, "Hey, you need to list those things. Get them out of here, dude. You're never gonna shoot them." Blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then this guy, he tells me about Index Archery and that they get vets into, that are struggling with PTS if they're the right fit for archery. And they kind of, hey, if you're expressing interest, we'd love to get you into it. And they provide vets with those things. And so I literally got a chance to donate my bows to that. As soon as I heard that, I'm like, no way, that's ridiculous. I literally, in the day before, I was in my basement taking all the pictures of these bows. I'm like, I'm finally going to sell them. Get on this podcast. And this guy's like, oh, by the way, there's this thing out there that does this. I'm
MSG.
like, get out of here, dude. Like, no way. Okay.
That's
So
cool.
so anyway, yeah, so I link up with Jason, and him and I were supposed to meet, and then on our move, truck broke down, so I didn't get a chance to meet him and whole thing. And then anyway, one of my bows, as luck would have it, got donated to a vet down here in San Antonio, and I watched Nathan do the whole giveaway and all that, and I was like, how cool is that, man? So anyway, there's a whole thing with it, but yeah, the podcast is linked to a whole bunch of things, but then with you guys, it's the HHA Sports. They've got their own. The HHA USA is their nonprofit they have. And it's all dedicated to veterans as well. And they put on a thing every year, like up at Lambeau Field, and they put on this whole like Wisconsin-based thing where you can, they'll pay for people to come up that are vets to just be part of that sportsman community and do that. And then Index
Yeah.
Archery is its own veteran nonprofit, and there's a whole bunch of others, but they have Center Shot Archery. Another one we should hook you to. It's all veteran or first responder based. Um, yeah, I didn't realize this world was out there, I guess is where I'm going. And then just like one
Yeah.
random conversation I had on this podcast was just like there's so much out there, and everybody's rooted in that same mission. And it's all about connection and
Yeah.
finding, and at the end of the day, guys, they might not be able to go to Wisconsin, but guess what? If they're here in Central Texas, guess where they can go? One MO Archery Range and get connected there. And it's a cool thing. And I didn't realize how like many tentacles this mission has at the end of the day, and you guys are a part of it. So it's really neat to watch.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
That's cool, man. Yeah, we appreciate it for sure. That's why I created One Mission Outdoors, the field staff, because they're all vets that I've met throughout my career. And some are extensions from another person, but really that everyone's a vet, and the group is there to share what you love to do, and just know that there's other people out there with the same interests that have been in the same type of organization as you, and you can just sort of connect through all of that. And that's same thing, right? Because like it's hard. It's hard dealing with PTSD or depression or just anxiety all the time, and I deal with a lot of that stuff too. Getting outside is it's therapeutic for a lot of people, and I like seeing those guys that I know be successful out in the woods and loving life and loving what they do. That makes me happy.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. And I think it's fitting. One Mission Outdoors, dude. You guys are all rooted in the same mission. You're all rooted in the same like outdoors concept. And one of the I didn't realize it was a saying, but apparently it is in like the Gen Z or whatever. Touch grass is like a real thing that they say.
Oh yeah,
Like, bro, I tell you what, dude, it's about like getting out and getting grounded is the whole like I guess underlying point of it. But there's a
making it a
reality to that,
mission.
man. Yep. Yep. Get grounded, and the
Absolutely.
best way to do it is get out in the woods and just pause. And that's the other thing too. You just realize when you get out, it can take 10 minutes. Go take a walk in a park somewhere, and you hit that one little spot that no one else is walking on the trail with you.
Yeah.
And hunting is like the extrapolated version of that. Is like you just stop and listen real quick, and all of a sudden everything goes away. And but
Oh
the
yeah.
reality is that's our life every day, right? It's not a however rooted in technology or the news or social media and all these different things that like just bomb us 24/7, and then incorporate like military lifestyle and all the stresses and anything else you could
Yeah.
be exposed to that go through that. It's wild. Like it just feels like nothing can stop it. And then you take 1 second outside and all of a sudden you hear it's a little bit different, or watch a sunrise, watch a sunset, like you talked about with you and Justin on the
Yeah.
range. And like, dude, you're just
Yep.
like, God, like, wow, this is actually so much bigger than this. And
Really
it's cool.
is.
It's therapeutic, man. So touch grass is how the Gen
Plus
Z say, I
grass.
guess. Touch grass.
I like that. I like that. Yeah.
Heck yeah, man.
Uh, for sure, man. Like just connecting with nature is just something about it, something therapeutic about it. You might not even been, like you said, you might not be hunting, just out there enjoying watching the world wake up or go to sleep. You know?
Yeah. You realize everything has a rhythm. Everything's got a natural rhythm that you can be there, or you cannot be there, and it's all going to work the same, no matter what. And then
Yeah,
the negative
exactly.
thing, that's a very powerful thing to realize, hey, you know what, like all this extra crap that's going on in my life, to be there or not be there, and I would be just fine, just find that yeah, it's a big topic for sure. But well, I
So
know we
you
got in
said you
here.
got
Go ahead.
into archery when you were young. Is that what you said?
I did, yeah, kind of on accident, man. So like I said, my like the where I got into the outdoors world, the thing I can remember about it is my grandpa had a deer rack, like a deer skull and a skull cap and trap
Hmm.
hanging in his barn.
Yeah.
Don't know where it came. But I remember asking him about it, and so Iowa, like my grandpa's age, uh, Iowa was one of those states where they didn't really have a deer season until he was like a certain age, and then they first implemented their very first deer season. He went out and got one. Had this whole cool like Daniel Boone style story to go with it. And I
Yeah.
was like, that's the coolest thing ever, dude. Like, it's awesome. And so just always kind of inspired by that little deer the deer antlers hanging up there. And then, um, yeah, I honestly don't really know where it came from. It was I got old enough. I remember my parents got satellite TV and found out there was a hunting channel on it. It was just something that always just encapsulated me. I found that and I was just like always watching it 24/7.
Yeah.
I learned everything I know about hunting at that time from hunting TV. Like that was it. I could tell
Yeah.
you on Thursday night at 8 p.m. I could tell you what TV show was on. It was probably like Peterson's Hunting or something.
Michael
But anyway,
Waddell.
yeah, that's it, dude. I was just like, this is the coolest thing. And then yeah, my brother and I were dinking around out in one of my grandpa's hog sheds one time, and he had a traditional bow and an old like bear something compound bow, like the old
Mm.
school, like barely even has a wheel on it.
Yeah.
And so we got those out, and I asked my grandpa if we could play with them. So we took them to the local hardware store, and Ben Franklin, I think, you could buy arrows. I remember that. But anyway, they verified they were safe, and we're like, okay, cool, let's go. And so we literally took a bunch of my grandma's. My grandma like was a seamstress, so took a bunch of old stuff that she didn't need anymore, stuffed it in a box, and we were lobbing arrows at what we thought was forever away. It was probably like 10 yards. But just yeah,
Straight up,
exactly.
right?
Aiming for the moon and lobbing them in, baby. Like that was the game.
I know
And
where it's been.
yeah, exactly. It was like the coolest thing ever. Drawing like little deer silhouettes on the side of a cardboard box,
Yeah.
and then we went to fast forward. I think I turned 14, 15. I had my permit to drive, and so the 20 minutes south, the town I grew up in was another town that had an archery shop in it. A guy, and anyway, drove down there one time when I had my permit with my dad and talked to the dude, and he had an old. It was a Martin. It was going to be a Martin. The one I had was a Martin Shadow Cat, and he
Oh,
sold it
yeah.
to me for like a $200 discount because he was going to have to send that. It was a prototype that Martin had put out, and they were going to send it back if he couldn't sell it. And then, but they turned that bow into the original Firecat, I think. But anyway, like the bow I had was a Shadow Cat, but the only difference between that and the Firecat they put out was that mine had like limb saver rubber in all the riser holes. So anyway, that was the first bow ever. And the only reason I even bring that up is my very first shot, bringing it back to the lobbing it in my grandpa's backyard days. So we're in this 20-yard range in this indoor shop, and the guy's like linking me up. He's adjusting my draw length and everything, and he gets me on. I've never shot with a release before either, by the way. So I draw this bow back, and I aim it at the deer target he had on the wall, and I lift it up about like this, and I pull that trigger, and it sent an arrow straight through his ceiling. He goes, "What the hell are you doing, man?" And I said, "What? I didn't know what happened. I was like, "What?
Oh, no.
Holy cow!" And he goes, "Dude," and my dad like just laughed, and he goes, "Oh, hold on." He goes, "He's shot a bow at his grandpa's, and he literally has to aim like that to hit the target." He's like, "Dude, you don't have to do that with this, like let's bring it down, just point it at the wall and pull the trigger, man." So anyway, that's how I got into it, dude. It was just a random set of things,
Age
but and then I just got hooked on it. And I think
14.
16, I shot my first deer with it. So yeah, it was just got hooked ever since.
That's cool, man. It's like the hunter story. I feel like
Yeah,
that's cool.
yeah, just
I
yeah,
didn't get into bow hunting until like 2007, I think, eight.
no
No,
way.
hold on. No, it was later than that. It was like 2016. Yeah, 2016.
Holy cow.
Um, no, so I think in 2015, I traded a fly rod for a diamond
Really?
compound, not diamond bow. And I had this thing, I got it like squared up for me, and I shot it, and it broke. Like the cam just broke. Like, okay. So I went to the pawn shop and I was like, well, what do we got? And the guy's like, saw this like pretty sweet looking prime bow. I didn't know much about bow hunting at all. I'm like, what's this one here? And he's like, oh, that's a prime. Like, yeah, that sounds cool. Let me see that thing.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh yeah, I got this guy. So I held it. I was like, okay, yeah. I hadn't been shooting for very long, maybe a couple months at that point. But he's like, what's your draw length and all this other stuff. So he did all that. I was like, he let me shoot in the back. It was bow shop slash pawn shop, gun shop, right?
Okay.
It was in Louisiana. Um, but it felt good. This is nice, man. This is way nicer than this other one I had. And I was like, yeah, this is it. So I bought everything and I tried. That was when I first started bow hunting. I hit the Louisiana woods that deer season and skunk every year, but I learned a lot. I learned how to
Yeah.
read deer sign because I really wasn't a deer hunter. I was a turkey hunter, but never really. I've shot deer before, like with a rifle and stuff, but it was like this is hunting. I mean, this is how you should hunt, like a Native American. I was hooked at that point. I was using like a climber to climb up the pine trees. I
Yeah.
was a terrible bow hunter, making all sorts of racket, no scent control whatsoever. I don't know, wind. What?
What's
Deer
wind?
have good
Yeah.
smell? Like they can smell good? I didn't know, dude.
Yeah.
But
It's a
I
wild
tried.
thing.
I
Yeah.
tried and tried. Um, I think it was like I had a couple more deployments, but like 20, 2016, 17, I shot one of these bucks on Fort Hood, and I was like, yeah, I get it now. I
Yeah.
understand.
Heck
I
yeah.
get it. And I had practice, right? I was a backyard practicer. I was really
Yep.
side house practicer, but like I
Yep.
would just sit out there every evening, just practice, practice, practice. And that's I think helped a lot, helped a whole bunch to sort of
Oh,
get over that
100%.
hump.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Practice. I mean, you can practice with anything, I think is important, but with a bow, especially, it's just, there's so many things that go into it. It's not it's intuitive, kind of like you shooting a gun, but at the end of the day, like so much more of it. I feel like the difference between gun hunting and bow hunting is the shooter has way more to do with what happens when a bow goes off than what happens when a gun goes off. Now, I get that a guy that does any kind of gun shooting would argue that probably to the death. However, your body position 1,000% dictates where that arrow goes up, down, left, right, quarter turn, back turn, how your grip is handled,
Mm-hmm.
all the stuff. Now, a gun, the fundamentals of firearm shooting, if you shoot it with two hands on it or handgun shooting is a different game, you can manipulate how that gun's going to happen with your body. However, if you're going to truly be a firearm shooter, rest that gun on something, and the only thing touching that gun is your trigger finger in your
Yeah.
palm. There's very little that goes into it if you do it quote unquote correctly. Now you get into the fundamentals of archery shooting. There's no choice. Like you have to have 2 or 3 points of contact on that bow to dictate where
Right.
that arrow goes, and you have to do the exact same thing every single time to make that arrow go straight or hit the exact
Yeah.
same spot every time, right? So like, anyways,
There's so much that can go wrong too.
yeah, yep,
And you're so
and
much closer. Like the proximity, you just get all amped up, right? Like
100%,
at least
and
I
then
do.
like you said, the proximity of everything, right? Because there isn't a bow hunter out there. I got to explore this further before I make some total like explicit claims here. However, like a Western bow hunter, now, you mentioned total archery earlier. Like I would encourage anybody, and I mean anybody, if you're into archery and you haven't done it yet, go to a total archery challenge. and just shoot. You pick whatever
Yeah.
force you want and go do it. Because what it will teach you is that it truly doesn't matter. It's kind of like firearm shooting. If you know you're dope, dial it. And fundamentals are
Right.
the same. Pull the trigger, the bullet's going to go. If you have a 120-yard archery shot or a 15-yard archery shot, if you know your fundamentals and you can dial for your, the guys have, dial sights, or if you just know your holdover and you do everything right, that arrow, it'll blow your mind, like how well you can
Yeah.
actually shoot if your fundamentals are just dialed, right? So
Yep.
anyway,
Yep.
but the thing you have to do to get dialed is just practice, 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 and get to the point where you can hit that quarter, 9 times out of 10, and it'll get there.
Oh,
But
yep.
to accomplish yourself like that, like going from Louisiana skunk in the woods to practice in the backyard to punching your own deer tag on Fort Hood, like there's got to be a level of excitement that happens there. Like
It was such a wild thing too. I didn't
insane.
even know. I was like, what just happened? Right. I had hunted and hunted and hunted. I've done this like so many times up to this point. And I like honestly, it was like I was brand new to saddle hunting. The first deer I shot.
Your first deer was out of a saddle to boot.
Yeah, it was.
Oh my
I'm good.
gosh,
I'm good.
dude! Holy crap!
So,
So okay,
oh,
let's back up now. So you got into, we got to explore that just a little bit. So you got into, you didn't just do bow hunting and you did your climber in Louisiana. You weren't successful. Get to Fort Hood. You decide in the Texas hill
yes.
country to saddle hunt, which if again, for those of you who don't know, like I haven't seen a tree yet that I feel like I could saddle hunt out of. So we got to explore that a little bit. But
Yeah, yeah.
like you shot your first buck ever out of a saddle on top of first time ever with a bow, which is pretty incredible, dude. Like
Right.
it's
First
good enough just
first
shooting
bow
your,
kill with
that's wild.
out of his saddle, right? Uh, yeah, it was so wild, man. Like my buddy, he was like into the saddle game, hardcore. He's like, "Why are you hunting from the ground? It's stupid." I was like, "Well," and I hated leaving equipment out on Fort Hood. I didn't want to leave like a ladder stand or anything. And I would tote a blind out, and do all this other stuff. And it just wasn't really, I was like, this is okay. And I was after this really good buck that year. And this is when you got trail cams out. And I was on. I was like, he is coming through the spot almost every day. But almost all the pictures were a little late. And I was like, I kept asking people, I was like, what do you think? He's got to be bedding somewhere else, right?
Right.
So one evening after, like I had been ground blind hunting most of it, and then my buddy who's like, check this out. Look at this thing that you can scurry up a tree. Like, oh,
Yeah.
that's my thing. Like I enjoy that kind of thing. So here I go. I go buy this freaking saddle kit and I go practice, right? I had two executions prior to this hunt. So I'm like, you know what? Whatever. Go out. I just picked a spot that I was like, maybe he's bedding down here and I can get on this path because like my camera, I don't know. I think he's going this way, right? So here
Yeah.
I go. I just found a tree out there and I just climbed it. And I got pretty high. I don't know. I had full sticks from Lone Wolf. Lone Wolf had like a tri stick at one point. I think they still do. You can get high, like 21 feet. Now, are there trees like that around here? Not really. But I found one straight enough that I could scurry up, right? And I got up there, and the wind was not really in my favor. I think it was a south wind that day. I had gotten off work. I was sweaty. I think it was like November, early November, so it was hot. I had like the tinks. I had some tinks, and I pulled it out. And I just sprayed it, right? Sprayed it all, and the whole scent was just going in front of me. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to see anything. My scent's in there, like, there's no way. Probably about 30 to 45 minutes later, I see this buck just like on a line coming straight towards this tree. I'm like, ooh, and it's sort of dark. It's getting dark. I can make out that he's legal. I was like, all right, he's legal.
Yeah.
And he comes, no kidding, he comes straight to the tree and takes a little bit of my left, his right, and he just stops. I just leaned out. I just leaned out a little bit. And I just, pow, hit him square in the lungs.
Blast.
Double lunged him at like 15 yards. Uh, and I watched him run a little bit, and he just fell over. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I couldn't really tell. Right at that point, I just knew he was legal. And I knew
Yeah.
I hit him. And my arrow was like in the ground. I was like, yes. I'm like shaking, right? Finally, I think it's 20. Yeah. Yeah, it's like 2018, somewhere in there. Anyway, I get down off the tree and call a friend. I go over and I see this buck. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, what? This is the buck that I've been chasing. He's like a 12 point. I mean, he was a stud. This second
Yeah.
one right here.
Uh-huh.
And he had two, his G1s, there's two G1s. Um, but anyway, like it was the first time. And I was like, it was the most amazing feeling. It was so great. I was so excited because there's no way I would have thought I would have got that buck. But when I finally saw him, it was him, and it was just a great feeling, and it just sort of all clicked after that. And the saddle game, I was like, this is it. I'm never hunting any other way.
Yeah.
Unless I'm lazy.
No. To break yourself in on it, that's I can't imagine being in your shoes and going any other way, to be honest. Like it's yeah, I got
Wow.
into it. I started hearing about guys like through my old job, like guys that were in, I was working with that were kind of getting into it and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I've got a climber. We moved to Montana, so we were hunting Montana for 5 years, dude. And it's like just spot and stock gold mine country. Like
Yeah,
and
I bet.
I wish I was really close in Montana to getting into it. I just never I just never broke down and bought the stuff, to be honest. And because like Montana's a spot, like if you're gonna bow hunt, there's just as much spot and stock opportunity, which might sound kind of wild to some people, as there is any stand opportunity you could have. Now there's for whitetails in particular, there's good stand hunting opportunities, but you either need to have a fixed stand, like a spot where you can go set up a ladder stand, because
Mhm.
like I challenge anybody, go into a Montana river bottom where the whitetails hang out and find a straight tree that you can climb in a climber. And I thought I was in good shape with that. But like after a first couple of hunts, you get out there, you start looking around, you're like, dude, there isn't a tree I could climb with a climbing stand, period. Either they're too darn big around
Yeah,
that they are
yeah,
straight, or all the ones that are the right size are bent, twisted, have limbs all over, they're dead, whatever. So AKA saddle hunting would be ideal out there if you really wanted to get out there and do the mobile hunting thing. Um,
yeah.
but then we moved to Maryland and I ended up getting linked up with a guy from Tethered, and I ended up buying or getting the whole kit like all done and sent through
Hmm.
him. That was the hardest thing for me as getting and wanting to get into saddle hunting is like if you don't know the lingo, dude, it's like what do I need? Like you can't. It's not like you just go
Yeah,
to a store and say, "Hey, I want this climbing stand. It's got a top, it's got a bottom. I got everything I need. Let's go." It's like,
yeah.
hey, there's these ropes, there's these carabiners, there's the different all these different pieces of gear, plus a saddle, plus these different types of ropes. And if you don't know you almost need a dictionary to like go through it
I
all. Like,
know.
okay, all the pieces. So like nobody just sells a kit. And that's what I finally found through a guy over at Tethered is he's like, hey man, literally here's everything you need to go climb a tree tomorrow. And I'm like, sweet, let's get that. Let's go. So anyway, got that. And then from there, I haven't got a deer with it yet. But after getting comfortable climbing trees with it, it's like it's hard for me to understand like why you'd even go a different route. Like I like that I
Yeah,
still have a climbing tree stand maybe for the that, but I'm eager to get my first deer out of a saddle, and it's just it's once you know what you're doing and you get comfortable with the idea that you're climbing, and if you're a
right,
traditional stand hunter, like it is kind of wild to face a tree compared to facing away from a tree. Like
right. Yeah, it is.
that's its own thing, and getting used to shooting like that. But
Yeah,
the thing I get now is like I would have talked to people about it, they're like, well, that's got why would you face a tree and how do you even shoot? Like I get it, I get the mental hurdle you got to get over, but it is as easy as like literally leaning around the tree either direction and going for it, you know. So, but and then now go all the way back to you guys at 1MO having, you know, practice opportunities for guys. That's
Yeah,
huge. That's all you have to
right.
do. Get out there. You have to practice it because it is wild. It is this weird thing, but
Have
to
to.
have a to have a guy that's done it from day one and got his first deer out of it, like why would you do anything
I don't
else?
know. Pure luck, right? Like this is how it is. But those poles that we have out there, if you can practice off of those, you can definitely do it off of tree because the poles there's no branches or anything, so that comfort's really not there. But even though you're tethered into to the your with your rope and everything, it's a different dynamic, and it's there to help you get better and get more confident. So when you climb a tree, you'd be like, oh, it's pretty simple.
Yeah. So your latest buck, did you saddled buck as well, or how'd that one play out?
I did not have, so it was sort of rainy that day, and I don't really like to climb when it's real slick out, especially some of these trees. So
Yeah.
I hit the ground that day, and the key thing about when it's rainy and stuff is it's quiet. You can sneak in there, and so that was the game plan, right? And I've been hunting this little area, you know, off and on throughout the season. And hit a little bit of Fort Hood, hit a little bit of this other land I got access to, hit or miss, right? And the bad part about Hood is like you might be hunting a really good buck, but next thing you know, everything gets shut down, so you got to go to plan B. And that's sort of what had been happening to me throughout the season. But I've been hunting this little area, and I don't know. I slipped in there, and I had the perfect wind, and I had a nice little hide site in there for the ground, and I had a tree that I could hunt out of. But put a little bit of feed out a couple days prior to that. Yeah, just hand feed, right? Just throw some corn out. Um, and yeah, I was just hanging out. I was probably about 2 hours. I was sitting there, and I see that deer walking through the woods and everything, making his way because there was like a rubber line on the opposite side of this small little field I was on. But so he was like doing his rounds. Then he finally came into that corn a little bit, or where the corn was, and he was quartered away. Perfect shot. Like you couldn't ask for anything better. And I think it was like 32 yards or something. Um, and he was just chilling. And I was like, he's a very nice buck, and I think I'm ready to do this. So you make a conscious decision. You're like, well, here
That's
we
good.
go, and you go through those systems and those checks in your brain that you've built over the years, and you just hope nothing goes wrong, right? Um, so I pulled back, and he was sort of, his butt was sort of close, like to me a little bit. So I had to draw back a little bit. I think maybe 30 seconds or so holding it, and he finally sort of turned a little bit, and I let it go. Buried that thing deep, real deep in his ribs, and he took off running. I heard him crash. I was like, all right, let's sit here for a while now and make sure he's good and dead, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I sat there for a hot minute. I just, I go through my own things, my own rituals, and say my prayers, and just hope that he had a nice, solid life and a quick death. But yeah, that's sort of how it went down. He didn't go very far. I think he went maybe 70 yards, 80 yards max, and he bled a lot. And easy to track. I mean, he was, I guess, a little thicket, but wasn't too bad at all. Real happy that I could at least take a buck.
Heck
That's what
yeah.
I'll get, that meat in that freezer. He wasn't a gargantuan buck, but he was special to me.
Heck yeah, dude. Meat in the freezer off the ground, 32 yards. Come on. Yeah, you can.
Wind in my face. I mean,
Let's
it was
go.
perfect. Quiet walk in, nice and cool out. I was a little damp, but it was nice. Didn't have to put camo on the face. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, dude. There's something special to that, man. I tell you the just from the ground is its own thing, but like the quiet walks in. I can feel myself in your scenario. I can feel the chill on my back, like a little bit from that
Yeah.
damp scenario. Like there's just something. There's nothing that makes you feel better as a hunter, in my opinion. Yeah, I have some of the craziest, like best. Well, just like this, I can imagine in your shoes exactly
Yeah.
probably how you felt. The walk in a quiet, damp wood is just, or in the woods is like its own thing. Like you don't ever feel like
Hear
it's going to
those
be a bad
raindrops,
day.
right? These quiet
Yep.
raindrops
Dude, you
everywhere.
just know like it's going to be a good day. Like I don't know what it is about that, but that just gets you fired up. And so like
Dude,
that's
walking
a,
in, I was honestly like I was afraid because I didn't want to bump any. I ended up bumping. I bumped a doe on my walk in, and I
yep,
parked. I don't know. I usually park like half a mile away, but you never know, right? And you're always.
yep.
I don't know. Do
Got to be
you
on your
walk in
toes.
ready? I I
On a
carry
rainy
an
day,
arrow. I
on a
carry an
rainy day, I
arrow, and
will.
I'll just carry my bow.
Okay.
I don't know.
It depends. It depends. So like if I know the area, if it's raining, I always walk ready. I don't care if it's gun
Really?
or bow. Like I do, there's just
Yeah.
something about it, man. Like the deer,
I
like
don't know.
you're gonna have a better chance of sneaking up on them, or at least getting into a. They're more patient too. Like they'll really wait it out if they're hunkered down and
Right.
they want to like they'll watch you more than they might if it's like a nice day out or whatever. I don't know. As a young hunter, dude, that got ingrained in me. It really shotgun hunting growing up in Iowa was like, shotgun or bow.
Yeah.
Shotgun season, if it was raining, and there's a couple spots just like I remember one was called the Small Timber, and I can't remember what the other one was called, but anyway, these spots that we used to hunt, like you just go in and you just know you're going to run into a deer, but it's
Right.
the rain and it's where they want to be and where you want to be and all the stuff. So I don't
Yeah.
know. As a young hunter, that got ingrained in me. Like if it's wet or damp or raining out and you're going, like just be ready because you just never know. But I always go slower. I'm a lot more careful. Like because if it's crunchy and noisy out and it's 75 degrees, like I'm gonna get to my stand quick and I'm not, you know, let's just get there, let things settle down, let me
Yeah,
quit
for
sweating,
sure.
and then let's figure it out. But um, yeah, dude, it's all. I got all the feels. As soon as you said it was cold, damp, and rainy, I'm like, all right, let's go, dude. This is
It
awesome.
had just rained, yeah, and I was like, man, I hope it lines up because I didn't. I was just hunting like I had made a little ground blind out of vegetation and
Yeah.
just like a little window. I was like, I just hope it don't rain any harder than this, or they're gonna go bed down, and it
How
didn't.
does
It just
the
stayed.
Yeah, that's it, dude. So here in Texas, you can mate and feed and all that good stuff.
Right.
That's like a little bit more foreign to me. I haven't been to a state yet, except for Texas, that has been legal to bait. Oh, Maryland, I guess I take that back. You could bait in Maryland if you wanted to, but I never did it on public land or anything. But like
Mhm.
in Texas, that's kind of like name of the game. Like and being here and being on the ground and seeing the vegetation, and everything, you're like, I get it. Like you
Right.
good luck seeing them if you're not going to get them to come out for some reason, right?
Right.
So anyway, and I know one of the guys I met out there, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but
James.
J2 James, yeah, thank you, J2 Tractants
Hmm.
or whatever. Like
Yep.
I watch a lot of his stuff on social media, and he calls it like set your drop zone. So like, is
Yeah.
that pretty normal? Like, okay, so you're hunting hood or you're hunting, maybe a private land or public land here. Is that pretty typical? Like you scouting, you kind of get the word like, okay, I know there's deer that travel this way. Maybe there's water over here. This looks like a good bedding site. Do you try to figure out a spot where you can maybe, like you just said, like even sprinkle some corn just to try to get something on camera? Like, what's the
Yeah.
game with initially setting like maybe a drop site or like a bait site for, especially like a public area or even like hunting on Fork Hood
Mhm.
or something like that?
So some of the spots that a lot of us hunt, so on Fort Hood, a lot of us use it at J2, and we'll use it as a tool, like an assessment tool, like especially during the scouting, since there's no cameras, you put some out, you create that drop zone. And early season, those deer are going to start to realize like, hey, this is a food source. This is a place that we can refuel. This is safe. We can eat, and that's how you create that drop zone along these paths or along these terrain features that you decide to hunt. Here, I play thermals a lot, so I like to hunt like near a hill, or I'll hunt off of a trail going up the hill. And you play those thermals around here, and those deer will definitely use all of that stuff. But if you incorporate some feed and you just make a little pit stop area, you're going to up your chances a lot more around here because Joe Schmo is doing the same thing,
Yeah,
a mile away.
for sure.
And
Yeah,
those
yeah.
deer are just hitting these little spots. So
Yep.
you have to remain competitive and you got to put down what they want to eat, especially
Yeah.
around
No,
Florida.
that makes total sense. And even like just driving between here, and my brother lives down in Hutto. My grandma lives in Buda, so like I always try to like I don't know, old Iowan in me. Like I take the back highways
Mm-hmm.
everywhere instead of the I-35 all the time. And so I'm always paying attention to where deer, if I happen to see them out in a field, which isn't always that often, here compared to like
Yeah.
an Iowa cornfield, like you'll see them all the time. Um, but you do see a lot of feeders here and there. But there are also like some cattle pastures that you just happen to notice are like, dude, there's deer out there all the time, and there's
Oh,
probably
yeah.
no feed out there. It's just whatever about that spot they like.
Yep.
But like you said, you do notice feeders and stuff all the time too. So kind of like you said, I can imagine it's more of just as much of a, if you're not doing it, someone else is, and that's where they're going to be,
Yeah.
or in a food source. But the other thing I've noticed is there's a ton of oaks. But then the cool thing is seeing like the transition from uh, like summer to winter. Everything's green here in Texas. And then now it's like there's a couple 30, 40-degree days and you really see the oaks start turning. And then you start driving around
Oh,
here,
yeah.
especially like this area, and
Yeah.
you get those bluffs and the hills and stuff. You can see like
Huh?
there's a red patch here, an orange patch here, and everything else is green, right? You're like, okay, like
You're smart. You're
if
smart.
I'm a deer, guess where I'm going to be? Like, right. But you don't notice it during the summer. So it's like, but I can start to see, like you said, you're playing some hillsides and stuff. Like, okay, there's natural food sources, but then also you're going to need to, you might need to supplement
Play
in
those
a spot that,
fringes, right? You have those
yeah, yeah,
wood line edges, and you know that there's other food sources out there, but those are going to deplete eventually. So you
right.
create these little small little spots that you can overwatch, and like, and you can sort of figure out where they're going to be bedding at, and then you can use that path that they're on from maybe their nighttime bed to daytime bed and their feed area. And you work
Yeah,
those fringes. And yes, as a saddle hunter, you got to scout for trees too. And
for sure.
and guess what? Those
Yep.
oak trees make perfect saddle trees.
They're like the only trees though, because you get into these
They
feeders,
are.
dude. You're like, good
There's some
luck,
pretty decent. There's some good juniper trees out there. You just got to sort of find them. And
Yeah,
honestly, if I could choose any tree to hunt out of, it would be a cedar tree because of their natural smell and scent.
yeah,
It's
for
just
sure.
another layer for you to
Yep.
like protect yourself, so to say, as a bow hunter from getting blown out.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's well, and they tolerate a lot more. It seems like I don't know. I think deer kind of feel safer in those whether it's in Iowa, it's the same way. You find a good
Yeah,
cedar or pine stand, you can get away with a lot more in general around there. And I don't know if it's just the overwhelming scent or if they just like they can hide pretty well in it too. And I think they just feel more
I think
comfortable, so
so.
they'll
They
tolerate it.
definitely use those cedar, those we call them cedar flats, and they'll use those
Yeah.
flats to like just lay down, and they can see far, and they're
Yep.
protected from everything else, really. But yeah, kick them up
Yeah.
all the time in cedars for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, they love it, man. Well, as a lifelong, well, almost lifelong Texas hunter, you got into it maybe a little later in life there, but what would your number one bow hunting tip be for a Texas? If someone's going to come to Texas, try bow hunting.
You're gonna come
Go ahead.
hunt Fort Hood, let's say. Let's say you're brave and you want to do some public land stuff. Um, you got to get out here a little early. You got to scout a little bit. And then definitely use those hills, the hillsides, and those fringes where all those cedar lines are. Those are your best friend because those act like obstacles too. And those deer won't travel through them so much, but during the rut, they'll chase all on those fringes. And those are your best friend for sure to put down feed and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Hit the fringes,
absolutely.
hunt the fringes.
The edges, yeah, that's huge, and that's one thing I noticed too. Is like, well, in driving around some of the Army Corps of Engineers property, like I told you earlier, um, where you see the deer is always is on the edge. It's kind of the only place you can see them, but like it also makes
Yeah.
sense that like they'd be traveling that because you really get into the thick stuff and it's like it's kind of that like a deer can
Damn.
navigate it, but it's
Yeah.
also like this would be a pain in the butt still. Like I think they're going to be maybe bedding just inside of it or doing their thing, but then you talk about rut, it makes total sense. And it's as a Midwest guy, like growing up and even East Coast, I intermingled the
Yeah.
two, right? East Coast and Midwest, you can hunt deer the same way. Um, you're going to hunt a lot of crops. You're going to hunt edges of crop fields. You're going to hunt pretty much the
Yeah.
same timber types at the end of the day. Some guys might argue that. But like coming here to Texas, that was the first thing I noticed right away is like even just thinking about deer hunting was like, holy crap, where do I start? Like it's just a different system. But
Yeah.
everything you just said is kind of the same. Like the deer didn't change. Their habitat did a little bit, right? So like they're gonna
Right.
live on edges, they're gonna do the things and no, that's good. And then there is a lot of terrain variability here, which is something that, like, depending on what
Yes.
hunting, I'm a Texas YouTube hunter, basically, is what I'd call myself right now. But like most of the stuff you see is like they're shooting it off a feeder at 100 yards, or it's like
Yeah.
it's totally flat terrain. Get out and drive once, and you're like, dude, there's a lot of rolling hills. There's a lot of just just pop out of nowhere vertical bluffs and like or mountains in some
Dude,
cases. It's a very terrain every part of the state's
it's
different. It's kind of
fun.
wild. It
It
is.
makes it
Yeah.
challenging because you can get pretty darn close to some deer,
Yeah.
and turkey because of the like the cedar patches and things. You can get through those things and you can get pretty darn close if the wind's right to a lot of animals. I have, I honestly, I took a shot and I missed this year, but I was again hunting on the ground and I had this seek one opportunity. You ever seen that video?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
That
yeah.
dude's just chilling and he just like, it was sort of like that. And because I was walking into my spot and I always sort of slow down before you get there, right? And you take a little gander and sure enough, guess there was a buck there. And I was like, dang it, because I was trying to get to the saddle tree, but beat me there.
Yeah.
Here I just got behind a little bush and I lazed them and thought I got a good laze and did the whole seek one thing and I just shot clear under that guy. But I guess the moral of the story is I got close. I got close enough to take a shot because the wind right and the vegetation was correct. So um, that's what makes it fun out here for sure. Yeah.
Oh, 100%, man. If you're going to get close to them while you're hunting it, either you're baiting and you're sitting in a stand and they're coming to the bait pile,
Yeah.
or you're sneaking in on them because
Yeah.
it's not a vegetation set that's really conducive to anything else. Like you're going to walk right up on them or
Hmm.
you've got to get them to come out of the thick stuff because you're never going to find them anyway. Like it's a
Yeah.
it's a cool deal. As far as being a saddle hunter, which I love that you are, like what's your this is kind of again a new venture to me. I haven't got one out of a saddle yet, but what's your number
Teach you
one
before you
saddle
leave.
hunting? Well, dude, we got to figure it out. What's your number one saddle hunting trip or tip that you have for a new saddle hunter or an existing saddle hunter? And what's one piece of gear you never leave the house without as a deer hunter or turkey hunter in your case, period?
Oh man. I would have to say don't forget your release. Number one. Always
Yep.
carry a second release with you, just in case you lose the first one. But I would say like a saw, a limb saw is
Yeah.
pretty critical to have, unless you can prepare your tree before you hunt it, which is a lot of us do that here. We find that tree we like, we're like, all right, we cut like a small limb down and you're ready to rock and roll.
Yep.
But I would say definitely a laser rangefinder is key for saddle hunting, and then an extra release and a saw. I would, yeah, critical tools for sure.
Yeah. Sounds like someone who's learned the hard way a few times.
I have indeed. Yeah, been up there many times. Like, man, I wish I had a saw right now. I
Yeah.
can't. Like, it's in my way. You,
I didn't start
yeah,
carrying a
you
saw
lean
until
way
I
out.
was, 100%. I don't know how many times before I went mobile, and by mobile, climber and then a saddle. Um, I hunted the same tree over and over and over as a kid. Like I just if I wasn't hunting with somebody else on some other property, I hunted the same property,
Yeah,
same tree stand every year. But what I learned, year two, year three is like, oh man, that shooting lane that was there last year isn't there this year. Oh man, that there's a new sapling that grew up in here. And
yeah.
I never ever carried a saw with me, but that's what I could have used to take care of it. And then when I went, I think I just did it one time. I went out without a saw, my first year climber hunting, and
Hmm.
I climbed up halfway up one tree and realized, oh dude, there's this branch that's like this long that I can't get around.
Yeah,
I had to climb down. I picked a different tree, and that one had something wrong with it. And I picked a third. I was three trees
yeah,
in by the time I finally got to what I wanted to do, and I was like, I'll never leaving I'm not never coming out without a saw again. And then saddle hunting, which is always tucked into I put it in my
yeah.
pouch
No,
because it came
I
from
know.
my
I keep
motorhome
mine
hunt.
in my bag. Yeah.
100%. No, that's key. And then the release thing, same thing. That was a lesson I learned as just a fixed tree stand hunter. I got out there one time, get all the way up there, you're hanging everything, you're feeling good.
Yes.
You go to put that sucker on, you're like, oh dude, I'm never leaving the car again without putting my freaking release on. So
Gosh.
yep. And ever since then it's on the handle of my bow case. It's like that habit you build, just if I
I
have my
put
bow
one in
with me,
my
I have my
bag.
release.
Put
Yep.
wrist one in my bag because I have a thumb release, and I had a really bad habit for like a year of just clipping it on there and just walking in with it.
Oh yeah.
And good, sure enough, man, like I did it, and I was walking in the tree, and it came off.
Oh,
And it was like at
no
night.
way.
It's like early in the morning. I'm like, ah, and I didn't have anything. And I had to wait till the sun came up, and I had to walk, trace my steps back. I'm like, but I found it, luckily.
Oh, good. Better than me. Yeah, I went one time and I think I just forgot it in the truck or something and got all the way to the stand, sat there, but it was like I was already kind of running late, so the sun was coming up, and I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'll just shoot with my fingers. It can't be that much different. I shot at a doe, missed, and I shot at a buck and missed that same day. And I'm like, I'm never doing this again. Like, never again. But
Your
you know,
fingers?
oh, with a
Oh
compound
no,
too,
no,
dude.
no,
Oh yeah,
no.
just rolling it off your face. And yeah, no, never again. Yep.
You must have fingers of iron.
Dude, I can still
God.
feel it. Yeah, I worked for FedEx at the time, so I think I was calloused or
Oh
something.
yeah.
But
Those
yeah, it
box
was
hands.
never gonna forget that. No, that's a lesson you never learn twice, dude. Well, I don't think we got into it quick. So one thing I do want to know, being an Operation Hunt thing, what was your job in the military? What was your role?
I was an infantry guy. I joined airborne infantry. I did probably half of my career as like an airborne infantry guy, and then half of it was mechanized infantry. So yeah, I just played with guns and got to ride around in a Bradley fighting vehicle for a while. Got to play with the 113, jump out of airplanes, helicopters. The Army thing,
Heck yeah.
and it was a lot of fun. Like yeah, I don't know where I'd be without the Army because I got a degree in the military. Same with you, right? I bet you have a bachelor's in science, right? That's what
Yep.
I got the same thing. Free of charge,
Yep.
right?
Heck yeah.
Got to meet some really great people, and I got to do some really really cool stuff. There's a lot of bad times too. Don't get me wrong, but I think the good times outweigh a lot of the bad times. And yeah, being in the infantry, being sort of like top tier type stuff was definitely awesome. I had a really great time doing it.
Heck yeah, man. Well, I love that. And thank you for your service, by the way. That's a cool
Thanks,
thing.
man.
22 years.
22, yeah, almost 23 years.
That's awesome, dude.
Retired in 2023. I retired as a first sergeant, master sergeant. That's as high as I went. My body could not do it anymore. My lower back got all messed up, just throughout my career. It was just time to hang it up, and I'm glad I did because my family would have had to go through a whole bunch of other stuff for another 6 years if I stayed in. So, and everything happens for a reason, and here
Heck
we
yeah.
are, rock and
Here you
roll.
are. Making an impact, Central Texas, getting veterans in
Prayin.
archery, dude. Heck yeah. And yeah, that's awesome. And then the question I'm going to ask, and this might sound totally stupid to some people out there, but for me as an Air Force guy, I don't think it sounds stupid. So I drive onto Fort Hood, right, and I'm dropping my wife off at work one day, and I see these dudes walking around with that hat you have in the background. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what is that? I know there's different things and whatever different positions in the military. But
Uh-huh.
the guy who's totally foreign to Army, like I had no idea what I was looking at. And so that was a first sergeant thing you said? Okay.
First Cavalry Division has a lot of the leaders wear the Stetson. It's a Stetson. So the Stetson goes all the way back to like the cavalry days, right? Early 1800s, cavalry dudes, after the Civil War or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just tradition for the cavalry guys to wear a Stetson, even though they look sort of funny to me because I'm an infantry guy, not a cavalry guy. But I had to wear it anyway to support the organization.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. Okay, well, good deal. That's pretty cool. And that's exactly what it reminded me of. It was something Civil War-ish, and I was like, I'm sure it's got some kind of tradition or some sort of job tied to it, but yeah, just
exactly
different.
Where it came from.
Very cool, man. Awesome. I still have to go visit the Mounted Warrior Museum. I need to go visit. It was closed during the government shutdown when I finally got a chance to go check it out, and need to go over there and check all that stuff out. But tons of history here.
And you would learn all about that thing.
That I figured I probably would. Honestly, that was half of the reason I wanted to go. I'm like, I got to figure this out, dude. So very cool, man. Well, Jess, thanks again, dude. This has been a long time coming. We postponed this, I think, 2 weeks. This is week number 3. We finally got her done. Yeah, man.
I'm glad we did.
So,
I've had a really good time talking to you. It's been great.
Yeah, you too, man. And again, thank you so much for your service. And we'll talk offline about turkey hunting. I need to get a Rio checked off my bucket list. And like I said, we need to get you on Hunting the Frontlines podcast too, man. We need to get you on there talking all about Fort Hood because that one will be a little bit more condensed. Like, hey, let's just talk hunting Fort Hood here. So get some veteran experience out there and get some guys that are going to get stationed here, hopefully, or maybe people who are here.
Anything we can do to help the program,
that's it.
Stay a program.
You bet, man. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, brother. It's been great talking to you. And we'll link to 1MO Archery. I'll dig up the page too for the Fort Hood Turkey Hunters. We'll get that on here as well.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to link on here to help people find you?
We talked about J2, so J2 Deer and Hog Attractant. Yeah. Check us out on Instagram. We're at One Mission Outdoors with the number 1. And then we have 1MO Archery on Instagram and Facebook. We're trying to do great things around Central Texas and make archery and bow hunting great again. Check us out. Give us a follow. Give us a like. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram. We got a YouTube channel. Here to answer any questions you got.
All right, brother, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on the Prayin and Slayin podcast, man.
Thanks, man.
And can't wait to have you on next time. Go kill another buck, and we'll have you on to share that story.
I'll try. My area ever opens, right? I don't know.
Heck yeah, dude. Awesome, man. Well, have a good night, brother. We'll talk to that. Have a Merry Christmas, man. Too.
Yeah, you too.
All right, we'll see you.
Later.
Well, there you have it, guys. That was Jess Todd, retired Army. And man, what an awesome dude and a good guy to get to know. And he's just got his hat. He said he wears multiple hats, and now he wears multiple hats outside the military, doing all kinds of awesome things. He's a huge, passionate turkey hunter. I've personally went and gone to some turkey hunting seminars that he's put on. And he does it, out of free will for just his love of the veteran community and sharing with others the things that he's fought hard and worked hard to learn on his own. And the verses that come to mind is actually Proverbs 11:24 and 25. That says, "Give freely and become more wealthy. Be stingy and lose everything. The generous will prosper. Those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed." And when I get a chance to meet and talk to Jess and see all the things that he's doing, man, the things that refresh him most is getting out in the woods and getting to spend time with his family in the wild. And then I love the origin story of 1MO and how, by out there refreshing himself in the wilderness, he met his partner, who we've got to get on the podcast as well, who ultimately started 1MO Archery together, and just one thing's led to another, and now they're out there. The seeds that they've sown together are starting to bless so many other people in the veteran community and civilian world as well, in the great sport of archery. And again, he just gives so freely the time to help others get involved in the things that he's passionate about, and I just love that. So with that, guys, be sure to go check out 1MO Archery. If you're in Central Texas or the Fort Hood area, absolutely go get yourself a membership to the 1MO Archery Range. I love being out there. My son loves coming along with me and slinging arrows. Just nothing quite like a beautiful sunset with the mountain backdrop, getting to launch arrows, out to 50 yards. So go check that out. Central Texas Turkey Hunters. If you are a turkey hunter in the Central Texas area, that is a great resource as well. We'll have links to all this stuff. And yeah, J2 Hog and Attractant, man. We'll go ahead and drop them as well. And yeah, go check that stuff out if you like to hunt in places you can bait. They're a great attractant for hog and deer and all kinds of good stuff. So with that, guys, I'm going to let you get back to it. And as always, keep praying and slaying.